Chapter 135. What a pity. Lan Yu shook her head. She admired Knight Sorrow a lot. He entered the sect this year. To be able to reach this level, he is indeed quite strong. A man behind her said. Speaking of which, I admire our martial uncle quite a bit. In this year's disciple recruitment ceremony, the sect's threshold is the 4th level of Qi refining. When he participated, he was at the 3rd level of Qi refining. He said that he wasn't any worse than the others. After the sect gave him the qualifications to participate, he stubbornly fought with the other 7th and 8th level Qi refining participants until the end, becoming one of the 26 people who entered the sect. You guys weren't there, so you should be able to imagine the difficulty he faced. Enlightenment lamented. I say, Qin Zhan, to be able to become enemies with him, are you really something? A short-haired youth looked at Qin Zhan. Qin Zhan glanced at the short-haired youth and didn't say anything. He didn't dare to offend him, as he was a ruthless person from Wuwei Peak. Wuwei Peak always emphasized on Wuwei Peak, but the short-haired youth in front of him was different. He was a genuine ruthless person. He was the disciple of Wuwei Peak's head disciple, Yi Shuai. His name was Feng Yan. Enlightenment smiled and didn't say anything. He looked down on Qin Zhan, as the two didn't have any interactions. How strong is he? He broke his opponent's weapon with one spear? Lan Yu's junior sister, Huang Qian, looked at the stage and said. On the stage, Knight Sorrow broke the Tianyue Peak disciple's saber with one spear. Then, he followed up with a kick and kicked him off the stage. When Knight Sorrow kicked, his opponent came up from behind and stabbed his long sword towards Knight Sorrow's back. Unable to dodge in time, Knight Sorrow took out the sky-piercing spear with his left hand and blocked it. Then, he used the wind-chasing spear technique with the sky-piercing spear to force his opponent back. Then, he used the reincarnation spear in his right hand to smash his opponent. Long spear and short spear using the same spear technique. He is truly a monster. Lan Yu said with some shock. While the disciples on the Yuan roll were watching, Knight Sorrow had defeated most of the Tianyue Peak disciples. There wasn't anyone left in front of him, so the remaining Tianyue Peak disciples didn't approach Knight Sorrow. How is senior brother? Tai Tsong, who was standing behind Duan Lei, asked. What else can it be? Senior brother has picked up a treasure. Taishan Peak has earned a lot. Don't show off. Duan Lei glanced at Tai Tsong and said. Tai Tsong chuckled and nodded. Senior brother, you don't know. My big brother acted too quickly. Otherwise, I would have taken it. Even if you want it, you'll still be misleading others. Duan Lei gave Tai Tsong a look of disdain. Hearing Duan Lei's words, Tai Tsong nodded helplessly. He was indeed not good at teaching disciples. Most of his disciples were taught by other elders of Taishan Peak. When Knight Sorrow saw that no one was attacking him, he took 2 steps back and returned to his original position. He sheathed the sky-piercing spear at his waist and pointed the reincarnation spear at an angle to the ground. Knight Sorrow's attitude was very clear. He just wanted a spot. If he didn't provoke others, they'd better not provoke him either. Knight Sorrow's side was quiet, but the other peaks were more intense. Hundreds of people were fighting for 30 spots. There were too many wolves and too little meat. In Medicine Valley, being a disciple on the leaderboard not only represented glory, but also cultivation resources. Only if you had strength and potential would you be worthy of the sect's attention. Outside of the sect's grand competition, one could also challenge the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard at other times. However, one would need sect merit points. Sect merit points were hard to come by. Challenging the Yuan leaderboard and Elixir leaderboard wasn't very easy. Therefore, disciples who didn't have a lot of resources and merit points wouldn't challenge them. Knight Sorrow's side was very quiet. Only a few people who didn't notice his battle came to fight with him. However, they were defeated in a few moves. There were fewer and fewer people in the arena. Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, Cloud Sea Peak, Nineen Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak's group battles had also come to an end. Nineen Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak's disciples who weren't outstanding were all defeated. The remaining few who were strong no longer fought head-on. They moved quickly in the arena, planning to last until the last 30 people were selected. After a few rounds of encirclement, the remaining disciples of Nineen Peak, Forgotten Cloud Peak, and Green Rock Peak were not defeated. The disciples of Danding Peak, North Pole Peak, and Cloud Sea Peak shouted and began to fight with their own abilities. The elimination process was very fast. In a short while, there weren't many people left in the arena. With Chu Lingxiao's stop, the battle ended, leaving only 30 people. Next was the start of the challenge. Knight Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He returned to his seat at Taishan Peak and sat down. With the qualification to challenge, he could challenge at any time. Gap. There was a huge gap between the disciples who weren't on the Yuan leaderboard and those who were on it. A few of them went up, but none of them succeeded. They were all defeated. This made the challengers feel conflicted. The challenge fell into an awkward silence. After pondering for a moment, Knight Sorrow stood up and came to the arena. I want to challenge. Okay, Taishan Peak disciple Knight Sorrow. Over there is the Yuan leaderboard. You can only challenge the last 10 people, Chu Lingxiao said. This was the rule. A newcomer was only qualified to challenge the 10 people who were ranked higher than them. If one wanted to challenge the one ranked lower than 100, they wouldn't be able to do so. They didn't have the qualifications. Then 91 it is. There was a stone tablet on one side of the arena. The names of the Yuan leaderboard were written on it, but Knight Sorrow didn't look at it. Wan Chun, 91 on the Yuan leaderboard. Come out and accept the challenge. Chu Lingxiao shouted at the resting area of the Yuan leaderboard disciples. At this moment, a tall and thin man walked out and entered the arena. Knight Sorrow turned his wrist and pointed the reincarnation spear at the ground. He said to the tall and thin man Wan Chun, "Please enlighten me." "You're too polite. Make your move." Wan Chun nodded at Knight Sorrow and then took up a defensive stance. Knight Sorrow's feet shook as he charged forward. The reincarnation spear pierced towards Wan Chun's front. At the same time, the spear was filled with vibration energy. Wan Chun's body flashed and dodged Knight Sorrow's spear. He circled around Knight Sorrow and began to attack with his sword. He had already seen Knight Sorrow's battle and knew that Knight Sorrow's spear technique was outstanding. Furthermore, he was incomparably strong. Thus, he didn't plan to fight head-on and planned to win with his sword technique. Wan Chun's battle strategy was correct. Unfortunately, Knight Sorrow's spear technique had already been cultivated to the extent that he could wield it like an extension of his arm. As he brandished the reincarnation spear, not only did he block Wan Chun's attack path, he also forced Wan Chun to continuously retreat. This wasn't to say that Wan Chun's sword technique wasn't good. He didn't dare to clash with Knight Sorrow's weapon, causing the power of his sword technique to decrease by a few %. After being forced to the corner of the arena by Knight Sorrow, Wan Chun had no choice but to use his sword to block Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear. In the end, his long sword was shaken off by Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear. Knight Sorrow controlled the reincarnation spear to stop 1 foot in front of Wan Chun and then retreated. I have lost. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. Wan Chun cupped his hands towards Knight Sorrow. I'm sorry. Knight Sorrow expressed his apology. Wan Chun smiled and left the arena. He wasn't as strong as Knight Sorrow, so he could afford to lose. Will Knight Sorrow continue? Chu Lingxiao asked. Chapter 136. Scammer. Huang Qian looked gloomily at Qin Zhan, because in the following result, she might be out of luck. She was ranked 41st, and Knight Sorrow kept challenging people who were 10 ranks higher than her. Then she would have to face Knight Sorrow, because Qin Zhan was ranked ahead of her, at the tail end of the top 10. Qin Zhan clenched his fists, but did not speak. Huang Qian was nothing to him, but Huang Qian's senior sister, Lan Yu, was very powerful, having been stuck at the peak of Element Gathering tier for a year. The one ranked 81st was also in the 9th level of Element Gathering tier. He began to use the same tactics as Wan Chun, but the result was the same. Knight Sorrow's body was very strong, and he displayed the chasing wind spear arts to its fullest potential. He could not withstand it, so he could only admit defeat when he was at a disadvantage. That way he would not lose face. Next, the 71st ranked also admitted defeat. Knight Sorrow did not intend to rest. This kind of battle did not consume much of his energy. Next, Chu Lingxiao called the one ranked 61st. My name is Chen Yun, I admit defeat. The 61st ranked Chen Yun stepped onto the stage and smiled at Knight Sorrow, then bowed slightly to Chu Ling Xiao. Bastard, shouldn't you at least fight a few rounds before admitting defeat? A middle-aged man not far behind Chu Ling Xiao scolded. He was Chu Ling Xiao's junior brother, and also Chen Yun's master. Master, I really can't beat him. If I continue to fight, wouldn't that be embarrassing? Why don't I preserve my strength and deal with others later? Chen Yun said to the middle-aged man. If you can't keep 61st, see how I'll deal with you. Chen Yun's master glanced at Chen Yun, then sat down. The one ranked 51st was a ruthless character. His surname was Shi Yun Hai. After he stepped onto the stage, he quickly approached Night Sorrow, and engaged in close combat with Night Sorrow. After the close combat, Night Sorrow realized how difficult it was to deal with Shi Yun Hai. With a short blade in one hand and a fist in the other, he attacked Night Sorrow's vitals. The most ruthless part was that his hands were often twisted, and he could attack in the opposite direction. It was extremely strange. Night Sorrow recalled Aoi's words. The number 1 on the Yuan leaderboard was called Shi Yun Xiao. His family's innate ability was to counter joint attacks. This Shi Yun Hai was naturally a member of the Shi family. Facing such a situation, Night Sorrow pulled out the sky-piercing spear from his waist and engaged in close combat with Shi Yun Hai. He relied on the vibration force to restrain his opponent's short blade and then blocked his opponent's fist. However, this was not enough to force Shi Yun Hai to retreat. Dong! Night Sorrow exerted force with his right hand and stabbed the reincarnation spear into the limestone floor. Once again, he took out the sky-piercing spear. With the sky-piercing spear in his 2 hands, he executed the wind-chasing spear art and began to randomly stab Shi Yun Hai. Sometimes, he even ignored Shi Yun Hai's left fist and directly attacked with the sky-piercing spear. It was a completely lose-lose battle. After a few rounds, Shi Yun Hai was forced to retreat by Night Sorrow. I say, this method of yours is too shameless. Is there a need to use a mutually destructive method in a competition between fellow disciples? Shi Yun Hai said in a somewhat depressed tone. It's not a mutually destructive method. Both of you hit each other at the same time. You'll be heavily injured, but he'll be fine. The Great Elder opened his eyes and said, Is what the Great Elder said true? Shi Yun Hai did not doubt the Great Elder. He instinctively looked towards Night Sorrow to seek confirmation. I've been blocking your short blade and ignoring your fist. Your fist can't seriously injure me. At most, it will hurt for a while. I'm willing to accept your fist. If I'm fine, then you admit defeat. Night Sorrow said. He did not want to be entangled in this matter. He could see that Shi Yun Hai's attacks were strange and varied, but his strength was insufficient. His speed of true qi was not as fast as Wan Chun's. That's fine. I'm not shameless. In a battle, my left fist can at most use 70% of its strength. Adding in your evasion, I can only use 60% of my strength. If I can't push you back by 3 steps, then I admit defeat. Marshal Uncle Chu, if I lose, please give him some time to rest. Shi Yun Hai bowed towards Chu Ling Xiao. Although Night Sorrow is at a disadvantage, you're also straightforward. After all, in a battle, you can still throw out such a punch and hit your target. The advantage you have is that you can avoid one of Night Sorrow's attacks. In fact, Night Sorrow will pull back at the end and will not seriously injure you. Chu Ling Xiao nodded. Night Sorrow put away his reincarnation spear and the energy of the myriad Tao Tome began to circulate. Come, don't hit my face. Poochie. Shi Yun Hai, who was about to throw out a punch, let out a breath and could not help but laugh. Not only Shi Yun Hai, but many people also laughed. Night Sorrow's words at such a crucial moment were unbearable and hurt them internally. Night Sorrow spoke very seriously. He was afraid that Shi Yun Hai would act recklessly and hit his face. That would not be good. After taking a breath, Shi Yun Hai took a step forward and punched Night Sorrow's left shoulder. He did not have any ill intentions and aimed for the chest, lower abdomen, and other vital areas. Bang! After hitting Night Sorrow, Shi Yun Hai took 2 steps back. Night Sorrow's body swayed a little, but he stood still. Although it was a little painful, the energy of the myriad Tao Tome circulated 2 rounds and there was no problem. Fine, you're ruthless enough. You took a punch from me, so I owe you a drink. I lose. After cupping his hands towards Night Sorrow, Shi Yunhai looked at Chu Ling Xiao and admitted defeat. Night Sorrow, you are now ranked 51st on the Yuan board. Do you want to rest for a while, or give up? Chu Ling Xiao asked. Night Sorrow shook his left arm and said, No need, I'll continue. I'll challenge 41st. The people on the Yuan board were astonished. Night Sorrow was too savage, almost like a monster. Scammer. Huang Qian looked at Qin Zhan again and came to the stage. Night Sorrow looked at Huang Qian and said, Please enlighten me. I'm not as strong as you, and I'm also not as good as you in close combat. What's the point of fighting? I'll give you the 41st place. When you can challenge your target, beat him up. Martial Uncle Chu, I admit defeat. Huang Qian quickly muttered a few words and then admitted defeat. She knew that she was not Night Sorrow's opponent, so she did not plan to fight to the death. Fine, if you're not satisfied with your current ranking, you can fight your way back. Chu Ling Xiao smiled. Thank you for your encouragement, Martial Uncle Chu. I'll see if there are any rookies I can bully. If there are, I'll challenge them. Huang Qian smiled and got off the stage. Night Sorrow, it seems you still want to continue fighting. 31st, who's 31st? Hurry up and come down. Chu Ling Xiao did not wait for Night Sorrow to speak and directly shouted at the disciples on the Yuan board. A fair-skinned youth came down and said, Uncle Master Chu, I'm no match for him. Let's not waste time and not block his path. I'm anxious to see which unlucky bastard is causing trouble. He's really in trouble. Good, that's a good attitude. I'll say it again, you all have one chance to challenge. If you're not satisfied with your current name, you can continue to challenge, Chu Ling Xiao said. Chapter 137. Next was the 21st place. He was Chong Yuan, a disciple of Green Rock Peak. Night Sorrow had seen this person when Gong Xian had found the entrance to the alternate dimension. After Chong Yuan got on the stage, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, One must know their limits. Biting off more than you can chew won't end well. Why are you talking so much nonsense? You are not qualified to teach me a lesson. After hearing Chong Yuan's words, Night Sorrow was very unhappy. It was mainly because Chong Yuan had used a lecturing tone. Then let me see how strong you are and how fierce your spear technique is. After Chong Yuan finished speaking, he smashed a copper rod in his hand towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow did not dodge and swung his reincarnation spear. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow took a step back. Chong Yuan also took a few steps back. He was very strong, but with the power of his true qi, he was still inferior to Night Sorrow. After pushing Chong Yuan back, Night Sorrow's feet trembled. He rushed forward and swung his reincarnation spear again towards Chong Yuan's head. Chong Yuan was good at strength but not speed. He could not dodge Night Sorrow's spear at all. He could only hold the copper rod with both hands to block. He had blocked Night Sorrow's spear, but his trembling arms and unstoppable body showed that he was much weaker than Night Sorrow in a head-on collision. Again. Night Sorrow's body spun horizontally in the air. The reincarnation spear once again swung towards Chong Yuan's head. This time he used the energy in his body. It could be considered Night Sorrow's full strength. Night Sorrow was not afraid of anyone below the 3rd rank, let alone Chong Yuan, who had never cultivated his body. Since Chong Yuan was good at strength, Night Sorrow would defeat him in strength. Bang! Another muffled sound was heard. Chong Yuan's rod was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear. His hands were bleeding, and the web between his thumb and index finger was split open. His body fell to the ground, and blood slowly seeped out from under his knees. My master, senior brother, and sister can teach me a lesson, but you? Why? Yi Shang coldly glared at Chong Yuan. Night Sorrow wins. Men, help Chong Yuan down, Chu Ling Xiao announced the result. Continue or rest? After arranging Chong Yuan's matters, Chu Ling Xiao looked at Night Sorrow. Continue. Night Sorrow nodded. A woman walked out from the Yuan ranking. Master, his talent is amazing. I'm not his match. I admit defeat. Yes, everyone's talent is different. A cultivator's achievement depends on one's talent and the other on their hard work. When you see other people's talent, think about their hard work. In the future you will be able to do the same. Chu Ling Xiao said to his disciple. Thank you for your help. Knight Sorrow bowed to the woman. Knight Sorrow, there are still 10 people in front of you. Who will you choose? Chu Ling Xiao knew that the main event was about to begin. Qin Zhan, come out. Knight Sorrow finally had to face Qin Zhan. He pointed his reincarnation spear at the Yuan ranking disciple's seat and roared. Now, all the disciples of the Medicine Valley knew who Knight Sorrow's target was and who had provoked him. Qin Zhan's face was ashen as he walked out from the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. Let's fight on the arena. Knight Sorrow growled at Qin Zhan. You are really aggressive. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Let's see who's afraid of who. Qin Zhan walked onto the arena. I know you're not afraid of me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have blocked the entrance when I came to the Medicine Valley to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. However, I want to tell you that I wasn't afraid of you back then and I definitely won't be today, Knight Sorrow said as he brandished his reincarnation spear. Knight Sorrow's words caused a commotion. Tianyue Peak's Jin Kan and Luo Daoyuan's faces were unsightly because everyone knew what was going on. When Knight Sorrow came to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony, Qin Zhan used his cultivation to bully him. How exciting! Qian Wu's face was ashen as he looked at Jin Kan recently. Su Chenbai had embarrassed him and now Jin Kan was involved in this matter. While they were talking, the two started fighting. At this moment, a very handsome man came to the Yuan ranking disciple's seat. With his arrival, the Yuan ranking disciples quieted down. This person was the first on the Yuan ranking, Shi Yunxiao. Cousin is here. I've lost, Shi Yunhai said to Shi Yunxiao. You're not convinced? Shi Yunxiao sat down and asked. No, I'm convinced, Shi Yunhai said. At the same time, he talked about Knight Sorrow's situation. He's very ferocious. He didn't rest and directly rushed to the end to fight Qin Zhan. His target is Qin Zhan, Feng Yan said. I heard their conversation just now. Qin Zhan is indeed a bit outrageous. However, this brat is also quite ferocious, Shi Yunxiao said as he looked at the two who were already fighting on the arena. It's not a brat. It's Martial Uncle, the last disciple of Martial Uncle Lu. Senior brother Shi, how long do you plan to occupy the Yuan ranking? Enlightenment said. A. Unspecified currency first, cent asterisk. I don't intend to continue occupying it. Today, I came out to get some fresh air. After that, I will return to my cultivation retreat. If you want to challenge me, you can just take it, Shi Yunxiao said with a chuckle. The battle on the arena became more intense. Qin Zhan was indeed very strong, or else he wouldn't have been able to occupy 9th place on the Origin Proclamation. He had been in the peak stage of element gathering tier for quite some time, and his cultivation had been stable for a long time. His battle experience was also very rich, and he could be considered to be at the peak of element gathering tier. However, in front of Knight Sorrow, he didn't have the slightest bit of advantage. Knight Sorrow executed the dragon leap steps to the limit and brandished his reincarnation spear. He flicked, stabbed, smashed, and swept. Spear after spear continuously attacked Qin Zhan. Qin Zhan relied on his movement technique to dodge. He didn't dare to receive Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear head-on. There were many examples of him clashing head-on with Knight Sorrow, and none of them had a good ending. The reason he was able to persist was because Qin Zhan's movement technique was indeed very agile. He dodged all of Knight Sorrow's attacks. This guy is really embarrassing. He should just run around on the arena. What kind of battle is this? Huang Qian was very dissatisfied with Qin Zhan. If it wasn't for Qin Zhan, she wouldn't have lost her 41st place. Although it's quite embarrassing, Qin Zhan's battle strategy is correct. After all, Knight Sorrow's attacks are too fierce. Not only are his attacks fierce, they also have the power of vibration. As long as his weapon touches you, you will be bounced back and unable to continue the battle, Lan Yu said. Interesting. A 4th-level element gathering tier martial artist has such battle prowess. Our Medicine Valley actually produced such a heaven-defying character. Shi Yunxiao clenched his hands together, and the joints of his hands made ka-ka sounds. This caused the people on the Origin Proclamation to be stunned. Those who were ranked at the top of the Origin Proclamation were almost all friends. Sometimes, they would even do sect missions together, so they were all familiar with each other. Shi Yunxiao's action showed that he had the desire to battle. On the arena, Qin Zhan relied on his movement technique to dodge, but was still forced to a corner by Knight Sorrow, who was wielding his reincarnation spear. Chapter 138. Looking at Knight Sorrow's sweeping spear, Qin Zhan jumped up to dodge. He didn't dare to retreat because if he did, he would fall off the stage. Seeing Qin Zhan jump up, Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear paused and stabbed it into the ground. He held the sky-piercing spear in both hands and rushed towards Qin Zhan. "Aren't you fast? Then let's fight in close quarters and not give you the chance to display your speed." Seeing Knight Sorrow take out the short spear, Shi Yunhai shivered. Playing like this again? This guy doesn't want to win. He just wants to ruthlessly mess with Qin Zhan. Lan Yu said. Yes, this guy has the intention to kill. I can see it from his eyes. Shi Yunxiao nodded and said. This guy really can't be provoked. Whoever provokes him will be unlucky. He really holds a grudge. Shi Yunhai said with a smile. It can't be said that he holds a grudge. It's just that Qin Zhan is too inhumane. I am the clearest about this matter. At that time, I was in charge of Caogu Town's safety. Qin Zhan went to the inn and blocked someone's door. He even wanted to fight. If this happened to us, we wouldn't be able to get away with it. Enlightenment explained the situation that day in detail. You were in charge of Caogu Town's safety. He was so arrogant. Why didn't you teach him a lesson? Lan Yu looked at Enlightenment and said. At that time, safety was the priority. I couldn't act recklessly. You guys don't know. He even used Lin Tianjue to pressure me. Sigh, his character is really good. Enlightenment sighed and said. When Qin Zhan landed, Knight Sorrow got close. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand stabbed towards Qin Zhan's neck and the sky-piercing spear in his left hand aimed at Qin Zhan's lower abdomen. Seeing Knight Sorrow's double spear, Qin Zhan's expression changed. He saw the battle between Knight Sorrow and Shi Yunhai. Shi Yunhai was so strong in close combat, but he still lost. His close combat ability was not as good as Shi Yunhai's. Shock was shock, fear was fear, but the battle still had to continue. Qin Zhan waved the long sword in his hand and blocked Knight Sorrow's short spear. Ding! Qin Zhan's long sword was shaken away. In his anxiety, Qin Zhan forgot that Knight Sorrow's weapon should not be touched. After shaking off Qin Zhan's sword, Yi Shang's two short spears landed on Qin Zhan's body. Although they were slightly off target, they still pierced Qin Zhan's body. The sky-piercing spear in Yi Shang's right hand pierced Qin Tian's shoulder while the sky-piercing spear in his left hand pierced Qin Zhan's waist. I admit defeat. When Knight Sorrow was about to continue stabbing, Qin Zhan quickly shouted these three words. Stop. Chu Ling Xiao hurriedly stopped Knight Sorrow from continuing. Glancing at Qin Zhan, Knight Sorrow pulled out a pair of sky-piercing spears and retreated. You admit defeat quickly. If you have the ability, continue to threaten me in the future. Someone come, help Qin Zhan down. Chu Ling Xiao shouted and ordered the disciples to bring Qin Zhan down. Translator, Tim Editor. Globeglotter, you're now ranked 10th on the Yuan ranking. Do you still want to continue? Chu Ling Xiao asked. Nope. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He didn't want to offend too many people. Today's matter was already very extreme. If he continued, he would become the public enemy of the Yuan ranking. Alright, you can go down. The Yuan ranking challenges still have to continue. Chu Ling Xiao also let out a sigh of relief. Knight Sorrow's continuous challenges had made him nervous. Wait a moment. Shi Yunxiao walked out from the Yuan ranking seat. Knight Sorrow turned to look at Shi Yunxiao. When they're done, can we exchange pointers? Shi Yunxiao looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. Sure. Knight Sorrow nodded. I'm Shi Yunxiao. Shi Yunxiao announced his name. I'm Knight Sorrow. Are you here to vent for Shi Yunhai? Knight Sorrow frowned. No, Yunhai wants to treat you to a drink. If he doesn't mind, why should I? Not everyone in the Medicine Valley is narrow-minded. I just want to exchange pointers and then go into seclusion, Shi Yunxiao said with a smile. All right, we'll do it later. Hearing that Shi Yunxiao wasn't looking for trouble, Knight Sorrow felt a little better. He liked Shi Yunhai's character and didn't want to see someone like Qin Zhan again. He was very satisfied with Shi Yunxiao's answer. When Knight Sorrow returned to his seat at Taishan Peak, he received enthusiastic cheers. Chu Ning and Tang Tian's voices were especially loud. Stop shouting. Let your 13th uncle rest for a while. Yang Lei glared at Chu Ning and the others before letting Knight Sorrow sit beside her. 13th uncle, the Shi family is straightforward. They really just want to exchange pointers with you. They don't have any ill intentions, Gongxian said to Knight Sorrow. I know. Knight Sorrow nodded. He had a strong intuition for danger, malice, and kindness. Shi Yunxiao only had battle intent and no murderous aura. Yi Chong left the arena, and the battle on the arena became intense once again. The other members who were qualified to challenge each other began to challenge each other. They had all been motivated by Yi Chang's battles. Yi Chong had never been ranked, and he had fought his way into the top 10. Cousin, you really want to exchange pointers with Knight Sorrow? Shi Yunhai asked Shi Yunxiao from the Yuan leaderboard. Yes, he didn't use his full strength in the previous battle, so I want to fight him. Lan Yu, enlightenment, if I lose, then the first place on the Yuan leaderboard will have nothing to do with you, Shi Yunxiao said to Lan Yu, enlightenment, and the others. Senior Shi, if you don't go easy on him, I'll take the first place, Lan Yu said. Of course I'll take it, enlightenment nodded. They all recognized Shi Yunxiao's strength. He deserved to be first place on the Yuan leaderboard. The battle continued. Only 4 of the 30 people who were qualified to challenge succeeded and entered the top 10. However, they all failed if they continued to challenge. The strength of the veteran Yuan leaderboard members was not fake. After the 30 newcomers finished their challenges, it was time for the veteran Yuan leaderboard disciples to fight for the rankings. As long as they didn't challenge the top 10 in front of them, they could challenge. Knight Sorrow closed his eyes to recover. Although these few battles didn't consume much of his energy, he had to maintain his peak state when facing the shockingly talented Shi Yunxiao. He didn't care about winning or losing, he just wanted to fight. After 4 hours, the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended. Those who wanted to challenge had all challenged. Other than the top 10, the positions behind had all changed. However, the changes weren't big. They were all disciples of the Yuan leaderboard and everyone knew it better. After the Yuan leaderboard challenges ended, Knight Sorrow stood up and walked towards the stage. Sorry, I just wanted to spar with you. Seeing Knight Sorrow on the stage, Shi Yunxiao also walked up to the stage. There's nothing to be sorry about. Fighting is the fastest way to improve one's strength. It's just for a fight, not for winning or losing, Knight Sorrow said. Well said, I like your temper. After the sect tournament, I'll go into seclusion. However, I'll remember to drink with you, Shi Yunxiao said with a smile. Okay, no matter if it's a fight or a drink, I'll accompany you any time, Knight Sorrow said. Shi Yunxiao took 2 steps back and put on a boxing glove on his right hand. Chapter 139. After fighting with Shi Yunhai, Knight Sorrow knew that the Shi family's close combat ability was strong and fast. The reincarnation spear was long, so if he couldn't stop the opponent from getting close, then he might as well give up. An inch longer was an inch stronger, but if the opponent got close, then it would be a burden. Look at 4 small TC say HV Yong, long time free you 0 fee. Good. Come. Shi Yunxiao nodded towards Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow stomped his right foot and jumped into the air, thrusting the sky-piercing spear towards Shi Yunxiao's chest. Facing Knight Sorrow's sky-piercing spear, Shi Yunxiao didn't back off. Instead, he punched out with his right fist. Ding! The glove smashed onto the tip of the sky-piercing spear, producing a crisp sound. Then, Knight Sorrow was forced back 3 steps. Knight Sorrow thought that Shi Yunxiao wouldn't take this attack head-on, so he didn't use the oscillating force. After pushing Knight Sorrow back with 1 punch, Shi Yunxiao took 2 steps forward and punched towards Knight Sorrow with his left fist. Knight Sorrow didn't back off. He raised his left hand and slapped towards Shi Yunxiao. When he raised his hand, a faint red energy halo appeared on his left hand. Bang! With a muffled sound, Shi Yunxiao was pushed back by Knight Sorrow's palm. At the same time, his left arm was trembling. He had miscalculated. He thought that Knight Sorrow would back off, but Night Sorrow counterattacked. This was because he had condensed true qi in his left hand and protected his left arm. Otherwise, he would have been heavily injured. After pushing Shi Yunxiao back with one palm, Night Sorrow took another step forward. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand pierced towards Shi Yunxiao's left chest. He raised his left hand and used the Zhenyu hand to attack Shi Yunxiao again. Shi Yunxiao's body shook, but he didn't back off. Instead, he used both hands to attack Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear and his left hand's Zhenyu hand. Shi Yunxiao's strength was close combat. If he pulled away, then he wouldn't have any advantage. With another muffled sound, Shi Yunxiao was pushed back again. This shocked the members of the Yuan ranking and the other peak masters. Shi Yunxiao was an existence that no one could contend against on the origin roll. He had been in the top 10 of the origin roll ever since he was in the 6th level of element gathering tier, and had then become the first. This year was the 3rd year he had been on the origin roll, and it was the 3rd year he had been in the limelight. No one said that Shi Yunxiao's cultivation was slow, because Shi Yunxiao's Zhen Qi cultivation was incomparably solid. Whenever he could break through, he would suppress it, in order to accumulate enough energy to break through. But now, Night Sorrow had pushed him back, twice. After pushing Shi Yunxiao back, Night Sorrow's body quickly moved forward. The sky-piercing spear in his right hand continued to attack Shi Yunxiao's left chest, while the light red energy in his left hand continued to attack Shi Yunxiao. This time, Shi Yunxiao wasn't as calm as the previous 2 times. He was pushed back a few steps, and the robe on the left side of his chest was also cut open by Night Sorrow's sky-piercing spear. This was because his right fist didn't manage to push the sky-piercing spear away. Following that, he flipped his body and used his second attack to push the sky-piercing spear away. After pushing Shi Yunxiao back, Night Sorrow retreated a few steps and pulled out the reincarnation spear that was stuck in the ground. The energy of the 10,000 Dao tome in his body could still support one Zhenyu hand, but it would affect the rest of the battle. In addition, 3 consecutive Zhenyu hands had used up more than half of Shi Yunxiao's Zhen Qi. Night Sorrow had achieved his goal, and his Zhen Qi hadn't been used up much. Logically speaking, I should admit defeat, but I still want to fight. Shi Yunxiao's empty left hand took out a short blade. It doesn't matter if I win or lose, I only want to fight. Night Sorrow threw out the first sentence, and put away the sky-piercing spear. If he didn't use up Shi Yunxiao's Zhen Qi, Night Sorrow wouldn't be able to control Shi Yunxiao's close combat. Because Shi Yunxiao's Zhen Qi was abundant, he could rely on his Zhen Qi to neutralize the vibrating force, and thus close combat. Now this threat didn't exist, and this was also the reason why Night Sorrow didn't use the reincarnation spear in the beginning, and picked it up again now. Shi Yunxiao's feet shook, and he charged towards Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow also made his move. He used the dragon leaping steps, and the reincarnation spear in his hand was like a flood dragon. He flicked, stabbed, swept and hacked, and he continuously pushed back Shi Yunxiao, who was about to engage in close combat. What's going on? Huang Qian was a little surprised. In the previous few clashes, Senior Martial Brother Shi had used up more than half of his Zhen Qi. That monster, Martial Uncle Knight, didn't use up much of his Zhen Qi, so Senior Martial Brother Shi couldn't resist the vibrating force of the spear. Lan Yu said, Martial Uncle Knight, not only is his battle prowess astonishing, his control of the battle is also extraordinary. If there are no accidents, Senior Martial Brother Shi will lose. Enlightenment also saw the situation clearly. Following the explosion of Night Sorrow's chasing wind spear arts and the vibrating force, Shi Yunxiao was constantly pushed back by Night Sorrow. Often, after blocking with his short blade, Shi Yunxiao had to use his right hand to attack in order to completely push aside the attacks of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. After a few rounds, Shi Yunxiao was forced to a corner of the arena by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow fiercely thrust out his spear, and this spear's vibrating force was added to the tip of the spear. He wanted to first knock away Shi Yunxiao's short blade, and then he would win. Facing Night Sorrow's fierce spear, Shi Yunxiao's expression changed. His body twisted irregularly, and his waist twisted, and his body stuck close to the ground as he dodged. Boom! Night Sorrow's spear exploded on a pillar at the edge of the arena, blasting a large hole in the pillar, and surrounding it were numerous cracks. Stop! Shi Yunxiao, who had flipped his body and stood up, shouted. His face was red, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His body couldn't stop trembling. Are you okay? Night Sorrow could see that something was wrong with Shi Yunxiao. I forcefully used a secret technique that I couldn't control. I can't continue fighting. Shi Yunxiao said with a bitter smile. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow said apologetically. He really didn't want to injure Shi Yunxiao. It's nothing. You think too much. Martial Uncle Chu, have lost. The first place on the Yuan ranking is his. Shi Yunxiao looked at Chu Lingxiao and said, this is a spirit concentration pill. Eat it first to stabilize your true qi and injuries. Chu Lingxiao went forward to support Shi Yunxiao. This was magnanimity. Although Shi Yunxiao wasn't Chu Lingxiao's disciple, he was an elite of the Medicine Valley, and also the future of the Medicine Valley. Therefore, Chu Lingxiao wasn't stingy with his pills. This was also the reason why the older generation of the Medicine Valley had a good impression of Chu Lingxiao. You've won. However, whether you can keep the first place on the Yuan ranking is your problem. Remember, there's still a drink. Shi Yunxiao left the arena after saying that. Junior brother Night Sorrow, go and rest for a while. Perhaps there will be others who will challenge you. The first place on the Yuan ranking isn't that easy to occupy. Chu Lingxiao said. I came up this time to exchange pointers, not to fight for a ranking. Whoever wants the first place on the Yuan ranking can have it. Night Sorrow felt a little guilty. His last spear had been too violent, causing Shi Yunxiao to be injured. This wasn't the result he wanted. Chapter 140. Great Elder. Night Sorrow bowed slightly. What's the Yuan board? It's the ranking of all the energy-gathering stage disciples in the Medicine Valley. If you don't care about this ranking, it's an insult to all the energy-gathering stage disciples and also a blasphemy to your own efforts. The Great Elder tapped the ground with his cane and looked at Night Sorrow with a serious expression. Disciple understands. I'm willing to accept another challenge. Night Sorrow bowed slightly to the Great Elder. It's good that you understand. Shi Yunxiao is on the verge of breaking through, so he can't stay at the top of the list. That's why he used a battle to decide who gets first place. He chose to spar with you, which means he recognizes you. The Great Elder glanced at Yi Shang, then sat down. Junior brother Knight, why do we work so hard to cultivate? It's to strengthen ourselves. It's for the glory of standing at the peak. This glory isn't just for you, it's also for your master, Taishan Peak and Medicine Valley. Young people don't need to hide their strength and bide their time. When it's time to fight, fight. Chu Lingxiao patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said. Night Sorrow returned to his seat at Taishan Peak and sat down. Everyone at Taishan Peak was quiet. They all knew that Night Sorrow was still young and hadn't experienced much. The battle with Shi Yunxiao was a battle. Night Sorrow felt guilty about Shi Yunxiao's injury, and his emotions were unstable. Therefore, no one disturbed them. After calming down, Night Sorrow sat up straight. Have you thought it through? Yang Lei asked. Night Sorrow nodded and said. #original, first. Then why don't you take the pill to recover? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. If someone challenges me, the battle will start very quickly. There's no time. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. He didn't use much true qi, but he didn't have much energy left in his body. He couldn't recover in a short time. Idiot. Eat a drop of medicinal cauldron spirit liquid. You can't lose first place on the Yuan leaderboard. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Okay. Night Sorrow had never used the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid before. Okay, in addition to assisting cultivation, the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid can also instantly restore cultivators below the core condensation stage to their best state. The auxiliary effect is always there, there is no waste. Gong Xian said. Upon hearing Gong Xian's words, Night Sorrow took out the jade bottle that contained the medicinal cauldron spirit liquid and took out a drop. After consuming it, he closed his eyes to feel it. The situation was different from what everyone had expected. No one in the top 10 on the Yuan ranking challenged Night Sorrow. Firstly, they felt that they were no match for Night Sorrow. Secondly, it would be an unfair victory. Anyone who could enter the top 10 on the Yuan ranking should be proud. Then, Yan Beibei stood up and announced the end of the Yuan ranking challenge. Some law enforcement disciples of the Medicine Valley carried the Yuan ranking tablet down. The tablet was to be sent back to the Yuan ranking Dao-seeking cliff. The Yuan ranking tablet and the Elixir ranking tablet were both at the Dao-seeking cliff. That was also the place where the disciples of the Medicine Valley challenged and learned from each other. The people of Taishan Peak did not move because Night Sorrow was in a meditative state. The great elder walked over. Gong Xian, Night Sorrow is a good person, but he is still a little immature mentally. You can't say that. He is indeed young. As the great senior brother, you should pay more attention to him. I understand. Gong Xian bowed and said. Not long after the great elder and the others left, Night Sorrow opened his eyes. Where is everyone? Looking up, Night Sorrow realized that the great elder and some of the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley had disappeared. Some of the disciples on the Yuan ranking were looking at the marks left behind by Night Sorrow's last shot. The Yuan ranking challenge is over. 13. You are the pride of Taishan Peak. There are precedents of newcomers entering the Yuan ranking directly, but they are also the tail of the Yuan ranking, not to mention entering the top 10. You took first place. This is the glory that everyone wants, Gong Xian said as he patted Night Sorrow on the shoulder. Great senior brother, I want to see Shi Yunxiao. Night Sorrow said after some thought. I'll go with you. Yang Lei said. Gong Xian nodded and left with his people. Yang Lei and Night Sorrow walked towards the back of Danding Peak. Shi Yunxiao was the disciple of Danding Peak's second-generation disciple, Shi Mu. He was also Shi Mu's nephew. Shi Mu was the second disciple of the Valley Master. He was very strong and was not inferior to Chu Lingxiao. However, he was not good at socializing, so he was not well known in the Medicine Valley. At the entrance of the valley where Shi Mu was, Night Sorrow met the servant disciple. Announced that Taishan Peak's Yang Lei, Night Sorrow is here to visit Shi Yunxiao. Yang Lei said to the servant disciple. Just as Yang Lei was speaking, a middle-aged man in a loose short robe appeared. Junior sister Yang is here. Just come in. What's the need to announce? Yang Lei greets senior brother Shi. It's like this. During the Yuan board battle today, my junior brother fought with Shi Yunxiao. Shi Yunxiao seemed to be injured, so I'm here to visit. Yang Lei explained the purpose of her visit. Yunxiao didn't look well when he came back, but his face was full of excitement. Then he went into seclusion. He's fine. Junior brother? Junior sister Yang. Which Uncle Master's disciple is this junior brother? The man in the loose short robe, Shi Mu, looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He's my master's last disciple, ranked 13th. He was accepted during the disciple recruitment ceremony this year. 13. Come and greet senior brother Shi. Yang Lei introduced Shi Yunxiao to Shi Mu. Night Sorrow greets senior brother. Night Sorrow cupped his fists and bowed. Not bad. You're full of vigor and have a solid foundation. Yunxiao won't mind winning or losing. You're not injured at all. Come in and have some tea. Shi Mu brought Yang Lei and Night Sorrow into the loft in the valley. Many disciples of the Yuan board stood in front of the pillars beside the arena in the square. This is iron wood. 1,000-year-old iron wood was reduced to this state by a single spear strike. What would happen if this spear struck a person? A disciple of the Yuan board said with some emotion. Pang! Directly exploding. His bones and tendons are all shattered, and his flesh and blood splattered. Feng Yan made an exaggerated gesture. This guy is too abnormal. Who knows how long he'll occupy the Yuan board? He's only a 4th-level element gathering tier now. Feng Yan shook his head. If he doesn't move his butt, no one can move him. This is without a doubt. Huang Qian reached out and touched the pillar. Wood powder fell down. This power is too shameless. Let's not talk about it anymore. I'm going back to cultivate. You guys be careful. If I can't take him down, I'll take you guys down. Shi Yunhai shouted at Enlightenment and the others and left. Seeing Shi Yunhai leave, the members of the Yuan board were at a loss. Those below Shi Yunhai were still fine. He couldn't possibly turn around and challenge them. However, those above him were vexed. The members of the Shi clan were all abnormal. Shi Yunxiao was like that, and so was Shi Yunhai. It was just that his cultivation was low. It's going to be a mess. Enlightenment said with a smile. Shi Yunhai's words were very arrogant, but no one was bothered by it. That was because the members of the Shi clan were straightforward and easy to get along with. They wouldn't bully others. The Shi clan was a large clan in the Medicine Valley. The elders above were all members of the Shi clan. However, the disciples of the Shi clan were usually like ordinary disciples. They didn't have any sense of superiority and relied on their own efforts. Chapter 141. Night Sorrow was speechless. This Shi Yunhai was too heartless. Impudent. Come and greet your 13th martial uncle. Shi Mu glared at Shi Yunhai. Shi Yunhai greets martial uncle. Shi Yunhai bowed to Night Sorrow. I'm here to see your brother. Yi Shang explained his purpose for coming. My cousin should be fine. It's just that his cultivation isn't high enough, so he forced himself to use the spirit snake movement. This means that my brother has no problem entering the core condensation stage. Shi Yunhai said. Then Shi Mu briefly explained the situation to Night Sorrow. The Shi family's innate bloodline allowed them to twist their joints. Before entering the core condensation stage, they could only twist their limbs. The spirit snake movement could only be used after entering the core condensation stage. It was the twisting of the waist bones. Shi Yunxiao forced himself to use it, so he was injured. But after using it, there was no big problem. Knowing that Shi Yunxiao was fine, Night Sorrow planned to leave. Hey, let's drink and do missions together when we have time. Shi Yunhai waved to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled and left. The Shi family was very popular. It made sense. Ordinary people couldn't be as open-minded as them. Back at Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow saw Yu Yongyu in the Taishan Hall. Not bad. First place on the Yuan ranking. This way, you won't be criticized for having the heaven rank treatment. Work hard. Just now, the Great Elder came and hoped that you can participate in the Golden Flame sex power struggle. But it's still a bit far. Yu Yongyu said. The Great Elder might not be satisfied with my performance today. Night Sorrow said. Then Yang Lei explained to Yu Yongyu that the Great Elder's attitude changed because Night Sorrow didn't compete. That's nothing. However, Great Elder is right. When it's time to fight, we have to fight. There's something that none of you know about. Today, Master will tell you about it. Yu Yongyu gestured for Yang Lei and Night Sorrow to sit down. Then, he explained some things that even Yang Lei didn't know. Providence. In the world of cultivation, there had always been a saying about luck. Those who had great luck would have a smoother cultivation process. In addition, they would also have more opportunities than ordinary people. Where did luck come from? When some people were born, they were blessed with good fortune. The other type of fortune was obtained through hard work and hard work. The way to compete was to attract attention and accumulate fame. The higher one's fame, the more luck one would have. For example, the Medicine Valley's Yuan leaderboard would attract people's attention and attention. This was a kind of fame. 13 has a chance to gain fame. What about me? Yang Lei was a little conflicted. She didn't know about this secret before. It's simple. Cultivate hard and then walk out of the Medicine Valley. Go out and fight, Yu Yongyu said. In addition, Yu Yongyu gave an example of why he was valued by the Medicine Valley's Grand Elder and had a chance to become the next Valley Master. It was because he had gained some fame in his early years outside and was valued. This was fame. With fame, things would go smoothly. This was the simplest manifestation of luck. On the second day, Night Sorrow wanted to watch the alchemy leaderboard competition. However, Yu Yongyu brought him to do something else. It could be said that they were going to meet someone. Yu Yongyu brought Night Sorrow to the back of Danding Peak's main hall. There was a 6-story, ancient-looking pavilion. The front and back of the pavilion were occupied by the Medicine Valley's elite disciples. After arriving at the library, Yu Yongyu said to Night Sorrow, I'm here to meet your Grandmaster today. My Grandmaster is in the library? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. Yes. Sometimes he is in the worship tower. Sometimes he is in the library. He is the guardian of the library. Yu Yongyu nodded. With the token in hand, Yu Yongyu went directly to the top floor of the library. He then knocked on the door of a room. "Come in." An old voice rang out. After opening the door, Knight Sorrow saw a white-haired but kind-looking old man. The old man was sitting cross-legged on a futon. 13. "Greetings to your Grandmaster," Yu Yongyu said to Knight Sorrow. Disciple Knight Sorrow greets Grandmaster. Knight Sorrow bowed to the old man. "Not bad. You are full of energy and vigor." The old man nodded to Knight Sorrow. "He took the title of Newcomer King and Yuan Leaderboard Champion yesterday. So I brought him here to meet Grandmaster." Yu Yongyu bowed. The old man stood up. His eyes glowed as he sized up Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow felt as if he had been seen through. There were no secrets left. "Not bad. Not bad at all. Yongyu, you have a good eye for disciples." The old man nodded in satisfaction. "He is hard-working. Very hard-working. Moreover, he has already mastered the Zhanyu hand. He can use it a few times in a row." Yu Yongyu did not shy away from praising Knight Sorrow. "Mastered the Zhanyu hand? Then I have a suitable weapon." The old man waved his hand and took out a claw glove. He handed it to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow took it and looked at it. He found that it was a soft, hollow claw glove. It was made of light blue metal thread. The back of the hand was not exposed. It could block the damage from sharp blades. The palm was mostly exposed. However, at the joints of the fingers and the palm, there was a thin rope made of metal thread. If the quality was high, it could block the damage from sharp weapons. The sky blue glove is made of sky blue silk. It can block the damage from sharp weapons. It does not block energy attacks. Similarly, it will not affect your heaven-covering hand. The old man said. "Thank you, Grandmaster." Knight Sorrow put on the glove and stretched his hand and fingers. He felt very relaxed. He was very satisfied. "All right. You can go back now. I will look for you later." Yu Yongyu still had things to say to the old man, so he let Knight Sorrow go first. Knight Sorrow left the library. As he walked, he studied the sky blue glove. He knew what material it was made of. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. The heaven green silk was the silk spat out by the heaven green silkworm. There were records regarding the heaven green silkworm in the Fey Encyclopedia. The heaven green silkworm survived by eating metallic green hillock sand. The heaven green silkworm wasn't afraid of sharp blades, but it was afraid of fire. Knight Sorrow understood that the sky blue glove could accompany him until he reached Tier 4. Once he reached Tier 4, the glove would be useless. Tier 4 practitioners had alchemy fire. Normally, alchemy fire did not have much power, but it could destroy the sky blue glove. After studying the sky blue glove, Knight Sorrow sat on Tianyu and returned to Taishan Peak. He then put on the sky blue glove and began practicing the Zhanyu hand. Chapter 142. Just as Knight Sorrow hurried out of the bamboo grove and was about to ride Tianyu to the square, Gongxian and the others came back. 11th senior brother, I'm sorry. I just went out with Master. When I came back, I was so focused on cultivating that I forgot to cheer you on, Knight Sorrow said apologetically. There's no need to cheer. Your 11th senior brother was just like you. He went from no ranking to eliminating Lin Tianjue in one go, Aoi said with a smile. Congratulations, 11th senior brother. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at Mo Chen. It's really nothing. Their combat experience is nothing to be proud of. Lin Tianjue? If he had the same cultivation as you would have killed him like cutting vegetables. I wonder who put them on such high pedestals, Mo Chen said with a smile. 13. Where did Master take you today? Did anything good happen? Aoi asked. Master took me to see Grandmaster. He gave me a glove. Knight Sorrow took out the azure glove and handed it to Aoi. This glove is great. Grandmaster treats you well, Aoi said as she threw the glove to Knight Sorrow. I'll go cheer for 6th senior sister tomorrow, Knight Sorrow said. There's no need for that. You've been tired these 2 days. Take a rest. Aoi shook her head and said with a smile. It's okay. 1 day won't make a difference. Knight Sorrow already felt guilty for not going to cheer for Mo Chen today. 13. The Heaven List ranking battle is a secret of the Medicine Valley. Disciples below the 4th rank are not allowed to participate, Gongxian said. Eldest senior brother. 13 is a Heaven disciple. He should be able to watch the Heaven List ranking battle with the safety standards of a Heaven disciple, Yanglei said after thinking for a while. 9th senior sister. I'm not going. I'm going to work hard on my cultivation. There's still a year before that alternate dimension opens. I still don't know how far I can go. Night Sorrow decided not to go. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, but he didn't want to make things difficult for everyone because of his own matters. Gongxian nodded. All right, then you can stay in your 6th senior sister's bamboo grove. Don't push yourself too hard. After returning to the bamboo grove hut, Night Sorrow started to practice his spear arts. He discovered that his speed was not fast enough. On this point, he knew that it was limited by his cultivation. Shi Yunhai and Shi Yunxiao were faster than him because their cultivation was much higher than his. After cultivating his spear art, Night Sorrow returned to the bamboo house to cultivate his true qi and the myriad Dao tome. After waking up the next day, Night Sorrow washed up and began practicing his spear arts. When Aoi went out, Night Sorrow also followed. Senior sister, I'll send you to the Supreme Mystery Hall. Okay, eat more when you're back. Don't work too hard. Aoi patted Night Sorrow's back. When Aoi and Night Sorrow arrived, Gongxian and the others were already waiting at the Supreme Mystery Hall. However, they didn't see Yu Yongyu. Following Aoi's inquiry, Night Sorrow knew that Yu Yongyu had already gone to the Dao-seeking cliff. I wish senior brother and senior sister good success. Yi Shang clasped his hands as he looked at the crowd. Gongxian nodded and led Wu Qi, Huanan and the others to the Dao-seeking cliff. Look at section MK on the H original version, B. 13th junior brother, let's go to the bamboo grove hut to drink. 6th senior sister isn't here. Let's see if you can get a servant girl to get us a jar of azure blood wine. Emochen said with a smile. Emochen didn't go to the Dao-seeking cliff. He hadn't reached rank 4 yet. Night Sorrow nodded and the two went to the bamboo grove hut. Hey, your master asked you to get us a jar of azure blood wine. We don't have anything to do. We want to drink today. When they arrived at Night Sorrow's hut, Emochen said to the servant girl. Chen yelled at the maidservant. Lord Mo, don't make it difficult for us. Miss said that when she's not here, no one can get the wine. Lord Mo isn't the first person to do this. Lord Sure did it too. Aoi's servant girl looked at Emochen and said, I'm going to faint. 6th senior sister is so cruel. Emochen rubbed his nose and said, Haha, I have to be cruel. 8th senior brother and the others also did this. If 6th senior sister didn't hold back, the wine would have been gone. Night Sorrow said with a smile. At the same time, he took out a jar of azure blood wine. He had 2 jars of azure blood wine. The first time, Aoi gave him one, but he couldn't bear to drink it. 13th junior brother, you have some in stock? Emochen opened the jar and sniffed. He was a bit excited. 6th senior sister gave it to me before. I only kept some. Night Sorrow asked the servant girl to bring 2 wine bowls. If you don't give me the wine, then get me some side dishes. Emochen looked at the servant girl and was unhappy. He had just lost face and now she was sent away. Night Sorrow and Emochen casually drank wine and chatted. Emochen was flushed with success. The matter with Guan Yi was a knot in his heart, but it was solved a while ago. Then there was the matter of love, which was also solved with Night Sorrow's help. In addition, he took first place on the pill ranking yesterday. After drinking half a jug, Emochen looked for a place to sleep. Emochen had a bit too much, but Night Sorrow was drinking happily. After drinking 2 more bowls, he held the reincarnation spear and began to cultivate his spear arts. After using up his true qi, Night Sorrow went to meditate and cultivate. After recovering his true qi, he continued to cultivate. In the evening, Aoi came back. 6th senior sister, how was it? Night Sorrow held the spear and asked. Without eldest senior brother and 9th junior sister, Chu Ling Xiao took first place on the heavenly rankings. This bastard is very fierce. Back then, when we were on the pill ranking, we fought with him. Now that we are on the heavenly rankings, he is still in front. Your third senior brother did well this time and took third place. Sixth senior sister, grabbed hold of a tail. In addition, your second senior brother took sixth place. Aoi said. Not bad. Our Taishan Peak took 3 spots in the top 10. Not bad. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Green blood wine. Did you drink? Aoi approached Night Sorrow and sniffed. Young miss, Lord Mo came and said that you agreed to give them wine. I didn't give it to them. Lord Knight gave them the wine himself. Aoi's maid came over and said. In the future, when they come, just give them the 100 herbs wine. Give them less green blood wine each time. Aoi told the maid. Thank you, sixth senior sister. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Didn't you kill the golden silk leopard last time? I used the leopard's bones to brew some wine. The effect should be good. Aoi said with a smile. Then Aoi and Night Sorrow went to see Mo Chen. Mo Chen was lying in the guest room and snoring. Aoi shook her head helplessly and covered Mo Chen with a blanket. He doesn't know how to take care of himself at all. I don't know how to survive all these years. After eating with Aoi, Night Sorrow casually took a walk in the bamboo forest. He wanted to calm down before cultivating. Chapter 143. Sighing helplessly, Night Sorrow returned to his loft to cultivate. He knew that if he wanted to see Sikong Chuyu again, he would have to increase his strength. He believed that Sikong Chuyu would not lie to him. Without reaching the 4th tier of cultivation, he would not be able to travel long distances. The following days were very peaceful. Night Sorrow cultivated in Aoi's bamboo grove. Yu Yongyu did not arrange a separate place for him to cultivate. On Taishan Peak, almost all the second-generation disciples had their own territory. Yu Yongyu did not arrange a separate area for Night Sorrow because he was worried that Night Sorrow would not be able to take care of himself. Our original E% first. 60/2D during the sect tournament, Night Sorrow ate a drop of cauldron spirit liquid. The effect was very obvious. Night Sorrow's Zhenqi did not directly increase, but his cultivation speed increased. His cultivation of the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome was also very fast. In half a month, Night Sorrow cultivated the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome to the peak of the 2nd tier of the muscle strengthening stage. His Zhenqi also reached the middle stage of the 4th tier of the element gathering tier. Night Sorrow did not want to cultivate quietly. He planned to accept a mission from Tianji Tower. He planned to fight while cultivating his Zhenqi and the Myriad Dao Treasured Tome. After hearing Night Sorrow's plan, Aoi was a bit conflicted. She knew that Night Sorrow's choice was right, but it was a bit dangerous. Guanyi had fallen on this path. Aoi looked for Yang Lei to discuss, and then asked Gong Xian. In the end, everyone decided to let Night Sorrow go. At the same time, Yang Lei and Aoi also decided to follow Night Sorrow to Longquan Courtyard. It would be more convenient this way. Night Sorrow did not reject Yang Lei and Aoi's good intentions. He agreed, and then went to bid farewell to Yu Yongyu. Yu Yongyu didn't object. He also supported Night Sorrow's decision. After all, he couldn't block a path just because of Guan Ye's accident. However, Yu Yongyu told the 3 of them to come back for the apprentice ceremony because there would be new members coming to Taishan Peak. Aoi and Yang Lei might be mentors. After bidding farewell to Yu Yongyu, the 3 of them left Taishan Peak on their flying beasts and headed straight for Danding City. Night Sorrow sat on Tianyu's back and began to meditate. Night Sorrow didn't want to waste half a day. After arriving at Longquan Courtyard, Hai Luo arranged for the servants to prepare food for everyone. Qiushu then cleaned Aoi and Yang Lei's rooms again. Qiushu was the servant that Aoi gave to Night Sorrow. Before Hai Luo and the others arrived, she had been serving Night Sorrow. Worried that the courtyard's expenses wouldn't be enough, Yang Lei took out some gold notes and gave them to Little Six while eating. The courtyard's expenses aren't small. Arrange it well. Master Yang, young master gave me a lot of gold notes. I can't use them all. Little Six took out a stack of gold notes and showed it to Yang Lei. People in the secular world usually called cultivators master. This was an honorific. In Longquan Courtyard, the servants and maids all called Aoi and Yang Lei this way. However, They called Night Sorrow young master. 13. Where did you get so much money? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. Cultivators didn't care about money, but they still needed it. Yang Lei was indeed shocked that Little Six had so many gold notes on him. It's like this. I went on a mission a while ago and got quite a lot from the bandit leader. I exchanged some gold and jewels for gold notes. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister. Take these and buy some clothes. Night Sorrow took out the gold notes from his storage ring and gave them to Aoi and Yang Lei. 13 is indeed magnanimous. But what we have, you can keep it. You're raising a big family like this. Aoi pushed the gold notes back to Night Sorrow. Alright, senior sister. There's one more thing. I got a treasure map to Lu Shan's cave. Let's go take a look when we have time. Night Sorrow thought about the treasure map last time. That's your opportunity. Even if you're senior sister and junior sister, you have to be clear about it, Yang Lei said. But it's indeed dangerous for you to go. Let's take a break first. Yang Lei added when she saw that Night Sorrow was in a dilemma. How about this? Whenever you want to go, we'll go with you, Aoi said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to cultivate. When he returned to the Longquan courtyard, Night Sorrow's mind felt very clear. He knew that this was the effect of the natural array. After cultivating for a night and eating, Night Sorrow rode his Tianyu to Tianji Tower early in the morning. It was the beginning of the month, so he came to see if there were any good missions. Coincidentally, when the attendant brought Night Sorrow into the private room to look at the missions, Enforcer Dong appeared. He sent the attendant to make tea and entered the room with Night Sorrow. Congratulations, newcomer king and the top of the Yuan leaderboard. Enforcer Dong cupped his fists at Night Sorrow. Don't be so courteous with me, Enforcer Dong. I'm here to accept a mission today. By the way, is there any news from Seacombe? Night Sorrow asked with anticipation in his eyes. No, it's too far away. Even if there's a letter, it'll take some time. This is the bronze mission list. Enforcer Dong handed a yellow beast skin mission list to Night Sorrow. Looking at the mission list, Night Sorrow accepted 4 of them, all of which were Tier 3 and below. He could now face opponents at the peak of Tier 2, so Tier 3 wasn't something he could touch yet. He knew this very well. After recording the missions, Night Sorrow returned the mission list to Enforcer Dong. Then Enforcer Dong, I'll go do my mission. Be careful. Safety comes first. Enforcer Dong reminded Night Sorrow. After nodding at Enforcer Dong, the two of them left the room. Enforcer Dong went to the bronze mission list and cancelled Night Sorrow's mission. Why did you cancel it? I accepted this mission. In the lobby, a young man looked at Enforcer Dong and said. The mission was cancelled when it was accepted. You accepted it too late, Enforcer Dong said. You accepted the mission? The young man looked at Night Sorrow. Yes, I accepted it. Night Sorrow nodded. Give up the mission and get lost. The young man shouted coldly. Where do you think this is? Enforcer Dong was a little angry. This young man was too arrogant. Isn't this the Golden Flame sex area? This is Tianji Tower, but I won't fight in the Tianji Tower. Your Tianji Tower shouldn't get involved in this. The young man looked at Enforcer Dong and said arrogantly. This is the Medicine Valley's area. At this time, another disciple of the Medicine Valley who was doing a mission spoke. He was a disciple on the Yuan list. Night Sorrow didn't know him, but he knew Night Sorrow. At this time, he stood out to help. The competition among the disciples of the Medicine Valley was fierce, but there were external enemies, so they were united. In other places, all the forces required the same thing. Competition was necessary, but unity was the foundation of a foothold. Chapter 144. I don't care which sect you are from. Don't mess with me. I took the mission, so it's mine. Night Sorrow looked at Zhang Peng and said coldly. Are you courting death? After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Zhang Peng was a little angry. Who do you think you are? I don't want to talk to you, but you still want to talk to me? Get lost. Zhang Peng's arrogant words made Night Sorrow angry. Zhang Peng's face turned green. He pointed at Night Sorrow and said, You? Good for you. You want to know my name? Then I'll tell you too. I'm Night Sorrow from Taishan Peak in Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow threw Zhang Peng's words back to him. Enforcer Dong smiled at Night Sorrow. He liked Night Sorrow's character. When he didn't fight back, he was as calm as still water. When he fought back, he was as violent as fire. Be careful when doing missions outside. Don't get bitten by dogs. Night Sorrow nodded at the disciple on the Yuan ranking in Medicine Valley. Recently, Night Sorrow found that the disciples of Medicine Valley were only the black sheep of a certain peak. The rest of the disciples were easy to get along with and were very united. Qiming, Shi Yun Xiao, and Shi Yun Hai were all very easy to get along with. A few days ago, Lan Yu and Huang Qian from the Crepe Myrtle Peak had come to visit him. They had sparred, and after losing, they were all smiles. They even invited Yi Shang to the Crepe Myrtle Peak as a guest. Thank you for your reminder, Martial Uncle. I'm a disciple of Wu Wei Peak. Martial Uncle, you should be careful. By the way, Senior Brother originally wanted to visit Martial Uncle, but he was caught by Senior Sister Lan Yu to do a mission, so he put it on hold. The disciple of Wu Wei Peak said. Who is your senior brother? Night Sorrow didn't remember knowing the disciple of Wu Wei Peak. My senior brother Feng Yan, 7th on the Yuan ranking. Speaking of this, the disciple of Wu Wei Peak was very proud. Well, I won't be at Taishan Peak recently. I'll go back during the sect's disciple recruitment ceremony. If I have time, I'll visit him. Night Sorrow nodded and said, You're done? Zhang Peng looked at Night Sorrow with a gloomy face. Don't talk so much. I'll take whatever you want. If talking nonsense is useful, then you don't have to cultivate. Yi Shang repeated the words that Lu Yongyu had said to Zhang Peng when he had fought against Su Chenbai in the sect competition. Look at the original chapter of Zhu Section V, I equals P. And seeing Yi Shang leave, Zhang Peng followed. Enforcer Dong smiled as he looked at Zhang Peng's back. He didn't say anything. He knew that if Zhang Peng went to find trouble with Yi Shan by himself, he would be looking for trouble. Night Sorrow couldn't see Zhang Peng's cultivation, but Enforcer Dong could. Zhang Peng's cultivation level was in the 8th level of Element Gathering tier, and Yi Shang's newbie status aside, to be able to obtain first place on the Origin roll, he must have defeated quite a few opponents in the peak stage of Element Gathering tier. Zhang Peng was definitely no match for him. But Enforcer Dong also knew that Zhang Peng, a disciple in the 8th level of Element Gathering tier, couldn't come to the Medicine Valley by himself. He must have been led by a senior member of Golden Flame sect. In Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow's information had been sent to the higher-ups. The person who came to Tianjin Tower said that if the Golden Silk Leopard was killed by Night Sorrow would get the purple attention if he won the title of Newcomer King. Ordinary people might not know what this meant, but Enforcer Dong knew that Night Sorrow would probably be recruited by Tianjin Tower. Very few people would refuse Tianjin Tower's recruitment, because there was no point and no need to refuse. Tianjin Tower's development didn't conflict with other forces. No matter if it was a sect or a clan, there was no direct intersection of interests. The identity of a sect's disciple or a clan's member could coexist with Tianjin Tower's members. Being recruited and taking the initiative to join the Heaven's Terminus Tower's peripheral organization were two completely different concepts. If you voluntarily joined the outer organization of Tianjin Tower, you would get resources every month, but they would only be ordinary cultivation resources. However, if you were actively recruited by Tianjin Tower, you would get more resources than the disciples of other forces, and your starting point would be different. Enforcer Dong was the young master of the Xikong clan in the Qing Tian region. It was very likely that Xikong Tian Ding, the future head of the clan, had used his connections to arrange a position in Tianjin Tower. However, he would only be a law enforcement officer in a small area. On the other hand, Xikong Chuyu had been actively recruited by Tianjin Tower, so her starting point was to patrol. Enforcer Dong felt a little regretful that the Xikong clan couldn't recruit Night Sorrow, mainly because the inspectors from Tianjin Tower had come too quickly. Normally, the inspectors would come to investigate once the branch of Tianjin Tower had reported a red notice. The direction of the investigation was to see if this person was qualified for the red notice. However, Yi Chang's performance this year was too outstanding. The person who came last time didn't consider whether Yi Chong was qualified for the red notice and directly confirmed whether he was qualified for the purple notice. While Enforcer Dong was worrying about personal gains and losses, Knight Sorrow left Danding City in a beast carriage. Zhang Peng also sat in a beast carriage and followed Knight Sorrow out of Danding City's city gate. After getting off the beast carriage, Knight Sorrow turned around. "You really came. Why not?" No one can be arrogant in front of a disciple of the Golden Flame sect and come out unscathed. A golden saber appeared in Zhang Peng's hand. "Make your move." Knight Sorrow didn't want to waste time talking nonsense with Jin Zhan. Although he couldn't see Zhang Peng's cultivation level, Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid. Zhang Peng's aura wasn't as strong as the top members of Medicine Valley's Yuan list. There were only two reasons why a cultivator's aura wasn't strong. One was that their cultivation level was extremely high and they had retracted their aura. The other was that their strength wasn't strong. Zhang Peng's aura wasn't strong, and he had accepted a bronze mission, which meant that Zhang Peng belonged to the latter. "You're courting death. If I kill you, the Medicine Valley will have to bear with it." Zhang Peng waved his golden saber and rushed towards Knight Sorrow. He didn't care about Knight Sorrow, who was at the 4th level of the Gathering Element realm. He wasn't afraid of the consequences. His confidence came from the fact that the Golden Flame sect was powerful enough. The Golden Flame sect was one of the 7 superpowers in the Eastern Profound Domain. They weren't afraid of the other superpowers, let alone the Medicine Valley. Seeing Zhang Peng make his move, Knight Sorrow waved his right hand and the reincarnation spear on his back appeared in his hand. Then his right arm shook and the spear stabbed towards Zhang Peng. Facing Knight Sorrow's simple attack, Zhang Peng didn't dodge. Instead, he waved his saber to block the attack and continued to rush forward. Ding! The vibration force on Knight Sorrow's reincarnation spear blocked Zhang Peng's saber. The spear didn't change and continued to stab forward. At this moment, Zhang Peng's expression changed. He hurriedly dodged. His dodging speed was relatively fast. Knight Sorrow's spear didn't pierce his chest, but it cut through his left forearm, cutting off half of his forearm and left hand. Chapter 145. Zhang Peng covered his broken left arm with his right hand. His face was pale, and he looked at Knight Sorrow and Tianyu with resentment in his eyes. Knight Sorrow wanted to kill Zhang Peng directly. He didn't show any mercy with his spear, but he didn't continue after cutting off Zhang Peng's left arm. Zhang Peng without an arm was no different from killing him. If he really killed Zhang Peng, the Golden Flame sect might punish him. Knight Sorrow didn't want to cause trouble for the Medicine Valley and Taishan Peak. After 4 days, Knight Sorrow finished a time-limited task and returned to the Longquan courtyard. "Boy, where did you go? We were worried sick about you," Aoi said worriedly when she saw Knight Sorrow come back. "I went to do a time-limited task. Little Six. Feed Tianyu." There were still 2 days before the task, so Knight Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He let Tianyu rest and asked Little Six to feed him. "Do you know that the disciples of the Golden Flame sect are looking for you? Your 9th senior sister went back to find her master," Aoi said to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow was stunned for a moment. Then he understood that the matter was serious. There was someone behind Zhang Peng. "Now the disciples of the Medicine Valley are looking for you. They are worried that you will be found by the Golden Flame sect. The Golden Flame sect is also looking for you. Of course, they don't have good intentions." "What's going on?" Aoi asked Knight Sorrow. Just when Knight Sorrow was about to explain, Yu Yongyu appeared. Gong Xian and the others also came. "Greetings, Master." "Greetings, senior brothers and sisters." Knight Sorrow bowed to Yu Yongyu. Yu Yongyu nodded. "It's good that you are back. I will solve any problems." After speaking, Yu Yongyu entered the main building and sat down. Why 7% forever MK free? Read a novel, 6th senior sister. What's going on? The impatient young Lei asked Aoi. 13 just came back. I'm not sure. Aoi shook her head. Then, Knight Sorrow explained what had happened. Master, this disciple has caused trouble for you. Knight Sorrow said with some guilt. Do you regret it? Yu Yongyu didn't comment on the matter. Instead he asked. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, I don't regret it. I won't cause any trouble for the sect. I'll leave later and go out to train. It's good that you don't regret it. Why did you leave? I can take responsibility for this matter. If something like this happens again, I will kill him directly. Yu Yongyu said coldly. Master, before I went back to see you, I walked around Danding City and found many disciples of the Golden Flame sect. Yang Lei said. Something has happened. The Golden Flame sect seems to have gotten the news that the Medicine Valley has found the Holy Cauldron Sutra. 13th matter was the first confrontation. Yu Yongyu said. How could the Golden Flame sect know about this? Gong Xian looked at Yu Yongyu in shock. If the Golden Flame sect knew about this matter, it would be a big problem. The news about the Holy Cauldron Sutra is only known to the people of Taishan Peak, a few Grand Elders, and some higher-ranking elders. If this matter is leaked, it means that the Golden Flame sect has already infiltrated the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley. Yu Yongyu said with a gloomy expression. If the Golden Flame sect is worried about the rise of the Medicine Valley, they may make a series of moves. They may even find an excuse to declare war. Gong Xian said. Yes, but the possibility is not high. To be honest, we also have people in the Golden Flame sect. Currently, the Golden Flame sect is not sure if the Medicine Valley has really found the Holy Cauldron Sutra. In addition, if the Golden Flame sect starts a war with the Medicine Valley will be defeated, but the Golden Flame sect will also suffer a great loss. Even then, the Golden Flame sect will not be able to resist the encroachment of the other 6 superpowers. Yu Yongyu analyzed. It seems that they came to the Medicine Valley in large numbers to cause trouble. Then let's fight. Let's see if they can afford it. They even chased us out of the city gate to cause trouble. We have given them face. Yang Lei's face was filled with murderous intent. All right, Shersan. Follow me to the Golden Flame Pavilion in Danding City. Let's see what they want to do. Yu Yongyu stood up and said. Night Sorrow nodded. He originally planned to take the blame himself, but now it seemed that this was not only his problem, but also the Medicine Valley's problem. Because before this, some of the Medicine Valley's disciples had already been injured by the Golden Flame sect's disciples. The Golden Flame Pavilion was the Golden Flame sect's stronghold in Danding City. After arriving at the Golden Flame Pavilion, Yu Yongyu did not plan to let his disciples follow him. However, Gong Xian and Yang Lei still followed him. After entering the Golden Flame Pavilion's lobby, Yu Yongyu sat down and shouted to his followers, Tell your people to come see me. Who are you? This is the Golden Flame Pavilion. The Golden Flame sect's disciple took out his weapon and looked at Yu Yongyu. Who are you? Didn't your Golden Flame sect say that you want to catch Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow is here. Yang Lei said. The followers in the lobby all held their weapons and were on alert. At the same time, one of them went to report. Before this lackey could leave the hall, a green-robed old man appeared. Yu Yongyu, did you come to the wrong place to show off? The old man entered the lobby and sat on the main seat. Did I come to the wrong place to show off? Then did the Golden Flame sect's disciples come to the right place to show off in Danding City? Yu Yongyu sneered. Don't forget, the Medicine Valley is a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. The entire northeastern region of the East Black Continent is under the influence of the Golden Flame sect, the old man said unhurriedly as he took a sip of the tea served by his lackeys. It's true that the Medicine Valley is a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. However, at the same time, the Medicine Valley is in charge of the Medicine Valley. This is a rule. Take back your claws. Don't try to show off in front of me. You, Zhan Qinghe, are not good enough. Yu Yongyu said loudly. His words were not polite. Yu Yongyu, what do you mean by this? Does the Medicine Valley want to become enemies with the Golden Flame sect? Zhan Qinghe stood up and pointed at Yu Yongyu. So what if we become enemies? So what if we don't become enemies? The Medicine Valley doesn't need anyone to tell us what to do. We don't mind some small things, but it's not the right for you to take advantage of us. Catch Night Sorrow? He's right here. Who wants to catch him? Let's see if I can chop off his claws. Yu Yongyu stood up and pointed at Night Sorrow. His words were domineering. He didn't seem to be at a disadvantage just because the Medicine Valley was a subsidiary force of the Golden Flame sect. You? The Golden Flame sect won't let this go. Zhang Qinghe really wanted to kill Night Sorrow right now, but he didn't dare to. With his cultivation at the peak of the 4th stage, even Gong Xian and Yang Lei couldn't handle him. Chapter 146. Master, what's the cultivation level of the person inside? I only felt an oppressive aura, Yang Lei asked. Much higher than yours. This guy knew that he had to come out. Plus, Zhang Qinghe couldn't gain the upper hand, so he didn't come out. This also means that the Golden Flame sect doesn't have the confidence to shed all pretense of cordiality. Yu Yangyu looked back at the Golden Flame Pavilion and said, Master, what should we do next? Yang Lei asked. The Golden Flame Pavilion's cultivation level is very high. The cultivation of the guy in the Golden Fire Pavilion is not simple. He should be an elder of the Golden Fire sect. Since he sent an elder here, it seems that the Golden Fire sect has set their eyes on this place. Then we will fight back. Before I came here, I met the Great Elder and he gave me full authority to deal with this matter. The other peaks will cooperate fully. I plan to set up a few law enforcement teams and arrange a few strong captains. As long as there are people causing trouble in the Medicine Valley, they will be dealt with. After Yu Yangyu and the others left the Golden Flame Pavilion, an old man in a brocade robe came to the hall of the Golden Flame Pavilion. Elder Qi, this Yu Yangyu is too arrogant, Zhang Qinghe said. He does have the right to be arrogant. I didn't expect his disciple to have reached the 5th rank. The old man in the brocade robe sighed as he looked at the street outside with his hands behind his back. Elder Qi, what should we do now? What should we do to capture Night Sorrow's disciple outside? Zhang Qinghe's expression was not good because he was not even as good as Yu Yangyu's disciple. Yu Yangyu's behavior is unreasonable. Don't provoke them for the time being. Tell the disciples to be more restrained and communicate with the rogue cultivators in the Danding City area. The sect will also communicate with the forces in the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley must be attacked. The main thing is to see if the other information is true. The old man in the brocade robe made arrangements. Yu Yangyu could make decisions on behalf of the Medicine Valley, but the old man in the brocade robe couldn't. This was also related to the different directions of the sect's development. Medicine Valley did not seek hegemony, nor did they seek to expand their sphere of influence. However, in their own land, they would not give in to anyone who crossed the line. This was their tradition. No matter which peak master it was, he could make the decision. Even if blood flowed like rivers, the disciples of the Medicine Valley would fight to the end. However, the Golden Flame sect was different. The Golden Flame sect's development strategy was huge. They had to consider the threat of the other 6 superpowers and expand their influence. Therefore, they couldn't just attack anyone they wanted. The main reason was that the Medicine Valley was very strong. It was one of the strongest among the Golden Flame sect's subordinate forces. The Medicine Valley had been rooted in the Eastern Profound Domain for countless years and was deeply rooted in the Eastern Profound Domain. It wasn't easy to destroy it. After leaving the Golden Flame Pavilion, Yu Yangyu made arrangements. Yang Lei and Aoi stayed in the Dragon Spring Courtyard, while the others went back to the Medicine Valley to make arrangements for the law enforcement team. One day later, 3 law enforcement teams from the Medicine Valley were stationed in Danding City. One team was led by Gong Xian, while the other 2 were led by Chu Lingxiao and Yi Shuai from the Wuwei Peak. This was the first action taken by the Medicine Valley. In addition, the elders of the sect led people to patrol the area under the influence of the Medicine Valley to warn the small forces that were ready to make trouble. V Forever 2 watch videos for free/talk 6. The person in charge of this operation was appointed by the first elder and the Valley Master. The person in charge was Yu Yangyu. The Medicine Valley attached great importance to this matter. The other peak masters also arrived in Danding City to deal with the upcoming situation. It had been a long time since the Medicine Valley made such a big move. The main reason was that too many disciples of the Golden Flame sect had come to Danding City. They could even form groups to capture Night Sorrow. How could the situation not be serious? It really corresponded to the saying, "The wind blows before the mountain storm." After returning to the Dragon Spring Courtyard to cultivate for a night, Night Sorrow went to the Tianji Tower to hand in his mission. There was a time limit for the mission he completed, so he had to hand it in as soon as possible. Seeing Night Sorrow, Law Enforcement Dong smiled. He knew the current situation in Danding City and the cause. However, he did not expect that Night Sorrow would cut off one of Zhongping's hands. He had sent a letter to the headquarters of the Tianji Tower in the Eastern Profound Domain. This was not because Night Sorrow had reached such a high level. The situation in the Medicine Valley was delicate, so the Tianji Tower had to know about it. They also reported Night Sorrow's matter. Purple attention was not a small matter, not to mention that Night Sorrow was the first on the Yuan ranking in the Medicine Valley. Law Enforcement Dong, I'm here to hand in my mission, Night Sorrow said. I'm relieved to see you. It's good that the Golden Flame sect did not catch you. However, your master is indeed domineering. Law Enforcement Dong said with a smile. He also knew that Yu Yongyu had gone to the Golden Flame sect. Now that the disciples of the Golden Flame sect did not come out, it meant that the Golden Flame sect did not have the confidence to deal with this matter. They went too far. That guy followed me out of the city and wanted to kill me. Then I had no reason to be polite, Night Sorrow said. True, but you have to be careful when you go out in the future. Don't get ambushed, Law Enforcement Dong reminded Night Sorrow after exchanging the mission reward. After leaving the Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow's body trembled. He took 2 steps back and looked around. Then, he found the source of the problem. It was the driver of a beast carriage. It was an old man. Although he was smiling, Night Sorrow felt a murderous aura and danger. This was his intuition. Night Sorrow got up and returned to the Tianji Tower. Hey, why are you back? Law Enforcement Dong asked in surprise. Law Enforcement Dong was right. I'm being targeted. This person is really planning to ambush me. I can't fight against that person. If he attacks, I won't even have a chance to escape. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Danding City forbade violence. However, if the attacker was extremely powerful and left quickly after the attack, this rule would not be a deterrent. What's his cultivation? Law Enforcement Dong asked. I don't know. I just instinctively feel that it's dangerous. Night Sorrow shook his head. Law Enforcement Dong brought Night Sorrow to a room on the 4th floor of the Tianji Tower. Law Enforcement Dong gently opened the window. Is it the old man in green? Yes, that's him. What's his cultivation? Night Sorrow asked. Rank 4, rank 3. If you don't look carefully, you won't be able to tell. His camouflage ability is very strong. A carriage driver with 3 levels of spirit severing. It seems like he's really targeting you. You can rest here and wait for him to leave. Or, you can ask the disciples of the Medicine Valley who are doing the mission to send someone to pick you up. Law Enforcement Dong closed the window and said to Night Sorrow. He was really impressed by Night Sorrow. He looked around and saw the old man. Night Sorrow realized that this was his instinct when he came out of the Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow's intuition for danger was too terrifying. Night Sorrow nodded. This was the only way. He didn't have any other choice. If a rank 4 cultivator attacked him, he would die. He wouldn't be able to resist at all. When they reached the hall on the 1st floor, Night Sorrow made tea. Law Enforcement Dong didn't accompany him. After all, it wasn't appropriate. The people outside the Tianji Tower could see Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow could also see outside. He was waiting for the disciples of the Medicine Valley. If there was a suitable one, he would spread the news. Chapter 147. Senior Brother Chu. Night Sorrow stood up and greeted Chu Ling Xiao. Chu Ling Xiao, who was passing by, stopped and walked over with his men. Junior Brother Night. Are you here for a mission? This is an emergency. Be careful. I'm not safe now. Hurry up and catch him. Night Sorrow pointed at the green-robed old man and shouted. Seeing Chu Ling Xiao talking to Night Sorrow, the green-robed old man knew that he couldn't do anything and planned to leave. But Night Sorrow wouldn't let him go so easily. He shouted at Chu Ling Xiao. Chu Ling Xiao followed Night Sorrow's finger and saw the green-robed old man. His expression changed and he moved to stop the beast carriage. As soon as Chu Ling Xiao moved, the people he led surrounded the carriage. I didn't notice. You almost slipped away. A long sword appeared in Chu Ling Xiao's hand. What do you mean? I'm driving a beast carriage to earn some pocket money. Is that in anyone's way? The old man said. Third grade divine clone? Driving a beast carriage to earn some pocket money? Who are you trying to fool? Third grade divine clone ambushing a fourth grade gathering element cultivator? You're shameless. I'm not going to waste my time with you. Chu Ling Xiao attacked as soon as he finished speaking. After Chu Ling Xiao attacked, the green-robed old man began to fight back. But the gap between them was too big. After a few rounds, the old man's ribs were pierced by Chu Ling Xiao's sword qi and he lost his ability to fight. I'm a disciple of the Golden Flame sect. You dare to attack me? The old man who lost his ability to fight finally revealed his identity. If it was something else, the Medicine Valley might tolerate it. Ambushing an elite disciple of the Medicine Valley? Then I'm sorry. Chu Ling Xiao waved the long sword in his right hand and beheaded the green-robed old man. At this moment, Chu Ling Xiao had nothing to do with being gentle and refined. He had a reason to kill the old man because the Golden Flame sect's disciples had appeared. The leader was Zhan Qinghe. If he didn't kill them, the situation would change. After killing the green-robed elder, Chu Ling Xiao sheathed his sword and asked Zhan Qinghe, Enforcer Zhan, this person attacked my Medicine Valley's elite disciple and even said that he was from your Golden Flame sect. Is he one of your people? Zhan Qinghe was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He only asked after killing him. Wasn't this intentional? Originally, Zhan Qinghe had planned to use pressure and negotiation to exchange for the old man. He was one of the elite members who had followed Elder Qi here. What's wrong? Are they really from the Golden Flame sect? Then what do you mean? Are you going to attack the disciples of the Medicine Valley? Chu Ling Xiao's expression changed as he sternly questioned. At the same time, the law enforcement team he led also drew their weapons and prepared to fight. I don't know either. I'll take the body back and ask if it's a member of the Golden Flame sect. At this time, Zhan Qinghe could not use force. If he used force he would have to fight. The Medicine Valley was ready for a fight, but the Golden Flame sect had not given any further instructions. Okay, we want to know who this guy is. If you have any results, please let us know, Chu Ling Xiao said as he put away his long sword. Zhan Qinghe snorted coldly and called for people to take the body of the old man in the green robe away. Everyone had a tacit understanding, but they didn't open their mouths. Once the topic was opened, it would be a real full-scale war. This battle ended once again with the Medicine Valley gaining the upper hand. The attitude of the Medicine Valley was clear. If you dare to cause trouble, I dare to kill you. Thank you, Senior Brother Chu. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get out of this door. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands to Chu Ling Xiao. We're all brothers. You're welcome. You did well today. Don't be impulsive. They're all elites now. You really can't be reckless. Chu Ling Xiao was a little scared. Knight Sorrow was smart. He didn't come out of the Tianji Tower and didn't give that guy a chance. Otherwise, Knight Sorrow would have died. Not to mention the Yuan Gathering Realm. Even the Core Condensation Realm couldn't escape from a spirit-severing realm cultivator. I understand. Knight Sorrow nodded. Where are you going? I'll ask someone to send you there. Chu Ling Xiao looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Update asterisk. The soonest you, up 8, thank you, Senior Brother Chu. I can go by myself. If there's danger I'll avoid it, Knight Sorrow said. No, it's not your problem now. You fought with that arrogant disciple of the Golden Flame sect and cut off his hand. You're showing the prestige of the Medicine Valley. If something happens to you, the Medicine Valley will lose face. Chu Ling Xiao refuted Knight Sorrow. He was mainly worried about Knight Sorrow's safety. I see. Then send me to the city gate. I'll go to the Dragon Spring Courtyard, Knight Sorrow said in a low voice. He couldn't let the Golden Flame sect find out. Fifth brother, seventh brother. You two send Junior Brother Knight Sorrow to the city gate. Be careful. If Junior Brother Knight Sorrow has something to do, go to the City Lord's mansion. Marshal Uncle Lu and the other marshal uncles are all there, Chu Ling Xiao said to the two members of the law enforcement team. At the same time, he also reminded Knight Sorrow to be careful. After exiting the city gate and bidding farewell to his escorts, Yi Shang sat on Tianyu and left Danding City. He hurried for a while and made a small circle. When he didn't find anyone following him, he returned to Longquan Courtyard. So late? You took so long to hand in the task. Seeing Night Sorrow coming back, Aoi complained. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to hide it, so he told her what happened. How shameless! The Golden Flame sect is so aggressive. I'll go and kill their disciples now. Hearing that Night Sorrow was ambushed, Yang Lei was furious. Ninth sister, it's not appropriate. If you directly attack them, it will cause more conflict. If that happens, the Golden Flame sect will have to fight. It's completely unnecessary. That bastard Chu Ling shouted a good job today. Aoi stopped the furious Yang Lei. 13. I'll secretly follow you tomorrow and see who dares to attack you. Yang Lei thought for a while and didn't refute Aoi. It was indeed not a good time to attack. The Golden Flame sect's disciples could be killed, but if they took the initiative to attack, the conflict would intensify. The Medicine Valley wasn't afraid of war, but it was better to avoid it. After all, if they fought with the Golden Flame sect, it would be a fatal blow to the Medicine Valley. If the Golden Flame sect didn't let the Medicine Valley gain a foothold, then the Medicine Valley would definitely fight back. If the Golden Flame sect could restrain themselves, then the war wouldn't break out. The Medicine Valley needed time to find the sacred cauldron scripture. Okay, then you can follow me tomorrow. But I'm doing the task to train myself, so you don't have to do anything. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei left the courtyard to do the task. The task was to kill 2 peak-tier, 2 black-scaled beasts that were attacking the village. This task wasn't difficult for Night Sorrow. He had hunted black-scaled beasts before, but they were still underage. These 2 black-scaled beasts were much stronger than the one Night Sorrow had killed. However, Night Sorrow was no longer the same as before. He finished the battle in 15 minutes. Chapter 148. This letter was brought by someone from the Eastern Profound Region headquarters. Sikong Chuyu was the inspector of Tianji Tower. Passing a letter through Tianjin Tower was a very simple matter. After reading the letter, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. Sikong Chuyu had already arrived at Yunwu Mountain, and the Sikong clan couldn't reach there yet. Although Yunwu Mountain wasn't as powerful as the Sikong clan, they still couldn't be easily provoked. Moreover, they were relatives. Sikong Tianding was happy to see such a scene. His daughter was safe and protected from the attack from the clan. This was a good thing for him. The letter was several pages long. Apart from introducing his situation, the rest was about Night Sorrow's advice and concern. Sikong Chuyu told him to work hard and cultivate. If he could get the attention of Tianjin Tower, it would be best if he could enter Tianjin Tower. This was an opportunity for Night Sorrow to get out of this area. If he could enter Tianjin Tower, it would be much easier for Night Sorrow to see her. After folding the letter, Night Sorrow put it away. At this moment, Night Sorrow was very excited. He had always been worried about Sikong Chuyu's situation. He was very worried that the Sikong clan would take him back. Although his father would take care of it, it was still a troublesome matter. Sikong Chuyu's safety was no longer a problem. Night Sorrow's concern turned into longing. The silhouette of Sikong Chuyu, wearing a long robe and covered with a light veil, appeared in his mind. Night Sorrow, what did Miss say to you? Enforcer Dong asked. In the public square of Tianjin Tower, Enforcer Dong called her Lord. In private, he called her Mississippi. She didn't say anything. She just said that she's very good, Night Sorrow said. Miss is very good to you. She still wrote to you from so far away. You can't let her down, Enforcer Dong said with a smile. I won't. I definitely won't. Night Sorrow nodded very seriously. Someone from above wants to see you. The letter was also brought by someone from above, Enforcer Dong said. You want to see me? Then, Enforcer Dong, take me there. Night Sorrow was shocked. I can see the top management of Tianji Tower now? This shouldn't be the case. Let's go. Enforcer Dong led Night Sorrow to the top floor of Tianji Tower. In the room on the top floor, Night Sorrow saw a man in a black robe. The black-robed man's back was facing Night Sorrow. His figure was tall and straight, and his black hair was tied to the top of his head. There was a thread at the back of his head that was connected to a mask. At this moment, the man turned around and sized up Night Sorrow. He was wearing a half mask, so the upper part of his nose was visible. Sit. The man sat down first. Night Sorrow nodded and found a place to sit down. He wasn't nervous. This person probably didn't have any ill intentions. I've read your information and learned about it personally. Very good. Enforcer Dong, tell him about our Tianji Tower's recruitment of talents, the man said to Enforcer Dong. Enforcer Dong repeated what he had told Night Sorrow before. Enforcer Dong, you can leave first. The black-robed man sent Enforcer Dong away. Obviously, he didn't want Enforcer Dong to know about the following conversation. Night Sorrow also understood this point. You know the situation. The probability of red talents being recruited is very low. Even if they are recruited, they will only go to the periphery. The probability of purple talents being recruited is very high. It can be said that they will basically be recruited. However, after being recruited, they will go to the periphery or the inner circle. It depends on their performance. At present, your cultivation path has just started. Tianji Tower will give you some resources for your cultivation, the black-robed man said to Night Sorrow. If they give me cultivation resources now, aren't they worried that I won't accept Tianji Tower's arrangement in the future? Or will I have to accept Tianji Tower's arrangement when the time comes? Night Sorrow asked the doubts in his heart. To be able to consider the future, your thoughts are very meticulous. You can rest assured on this point. To do a little bit of effort to nurture outstanding talents, the Extreme Heaven Tower has this kind of spirit. At the very least, the cultivators who have been supported by the Extreme Heaven Tower in the future will not turn against the Extreme Heaven Tower. Don't you think so? If you think about the downside, this is a kind of investment. After all, those who can get purple talents will definitely have achievements as long as they don't have any problems, the black-robed man said after carefully sizing up Night Sorrow for a while. Then I accept. I don't know what the future will be like. At the very least, I won't bite the hand that feeds me. Night Sorrow nodded. Well said. There are currently 18 people who have purple talents in the headquarters of Eastern Xian region. And your answer is the only one. In fact, I don't like people who swear loyalty when they open their mouths and say they will die before they close their mouths. They are too hypocritical. Who doesn't think for themselves? The black-robed man said with a smile. A man without desires is strong. If I am restricted too much, I will think about this and that every day, and I will feel uneasy, Night Sorrow said. That's right. There are indeed no restrictions at the moment. Even if you decide to enter Tianji Tower, there will be few restrictions. This is my sincere words, the black-robed man said. I understand. From your words, I can feel Tianji Tower's style of doing things. Night Sorrow believed the black-robed man's words because he was sincere. These are the resources that belong to you. 3 bottles of top-grade energy-gathering pills and 1 energy-breaking pill. When you cultivate, try to increase your speed as much as possible under the condition that your foundation is stable, because this is related to the degree of your attention. The black-robed man took out 4 bottles of pills and pushed them in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow opened the bottle of energy-gathering pills and took a look at them. He took out the pills he refined and looked at the differences in the middle. After a while, he put them down. They are indeed better than the ones I refined. The color is bright and the efficacy is high. The main thing is that there are almost no impurities. You can refine pills? Let me see the best pills you refined. The black-robed man's voice was a little surprised. His eyes were fixed on Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and took out the bottle of leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. He opened it and took out 1 pill and handed it to the black-robed man. Permanently exempt from plus? Cost. 3 looks/small PR. Say the black-robed man took the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill and looked at it. He rubbed his fingers and pinched a little bit of the pill. Then, he put it into his mouth from under the mask and closed his eyes to feel it for a while. A pill that strengthens the body and is also an auxiliary pill. This is very rare. I will keep this half of the pill and take it back to appraise its medicinal properties. Don't worry. Tianji Tower will not use this pill without a circulating pill formula. They will not refine this kind of pill. Even if they want to refine it, they will ask for your permission. The black-robed man put away the leopard embryo muscle-strengthening pill. This is nothing. Night Sorrow nodded. Chapter 149. Yi Shang nodded and left. The Empyrean Terminus Tower's attitude made him feel much better. When he read the letter from Sikong Chuyu telling him to try his best to join Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow was still a little conflicted because he didn't want to be restricted and restrained. However, he had already decided that if he could see Sikong Chuyu, it would be worth it to suffer a little. After listening to the black-robed old man's words, Night Sorrow understood that even if he joined Tianji Tower, he wouldn't suffer any grievances. Tianji Tower was very generous, which was also the reason why Tianjin Tower could develop to its current scale. As soon as Night Sorrow arrived at the lobby on the first floor, Yang Lei quickly walked over. What have you been doing? What took you so long? Originally, Yang Lei had been waiting for Night Sorrow on a street outside Tianji Tower. After waiting for a long time, Night Sorrow still hadn't come out. She became anxious and went directly to the lobby of Tianji Tower. Let's go first. We'll talk later. Night Sorrow left Tianji Tower with Yang Lei and went to a restaurant. He asked for a private room and ordered a few dishes. What's going on? Yang Lei was still a little anxious. However, it didn't take much time to hand over the mission. Night Sorrow had been in there for more than an hour. Sikong Chuyu sent me a letter. She has returned to Qingtian Domain and is with her grandfather. She's safe. Night Sorrow first told her about Sikong Chuyu. Well, that's good. Now that she's safe, you can settle down and work hard on your cultivation. That way, it will be easier to see her. You should know that those big families are very troublesome. They judge people by their strength. Yang Lei nodded. She was also very concerned about Sikong Chuyu. I know. Also, I got some benefits from Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow repeated what the black-robed old man had told him. The black-robed old man didn't say that this matter couldn't be told to outsiders. Besides, Yang Lei wasn't an outsider. This is a good thing. You have to seize this opportunity. Entering Tianji Tower is the dream of all cultivators. However, Tianji Tower's recruitment of talents is too harsh. Our Taishan Peak's highest-ranking disciple only received red attention. In the end, it was left unsettled, Yang Lei said. Why is the effect of the soul-gathering pill he gave me better than the soul-gathering pill I refined? Night Sorrow took out the soul-gathering pill the black-robed man gave him and asked. This is the work of a high-level alchemist. At the very least, your sixth senior sister can't concoct it, Yang Lei said. Then she told Night Sorrow the difference between the soul-gathering pill and the ordinary one. The energy in the soul-gathering pill was purer and easier to absorb. There was almost no pill poison, so he could use it without worry. Well, Tianji Tower is really sincere. Night Sorrow put away the soul-gathering pill and planned to try it when he returned to the Longquan courtyard. The Empyrean Terminus Tower has branches in the 9 realms and 18 states. They are very powerful. The better you perform, the more attention you will receive from the Empyrean Terminus Tower. Also, don't tell others about this. The Empyrean Terminus Tower doesn't like flamboyant people. Yang Lei reminded Yi Shang. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew what Yang Lei meant. Tianji Tower's information network was very powerful. They might know what you said the moment you said it. After eating with Yang Lei, the two took a stroll around Danding City to see the current situation between the Golden Flame sect and the Medicine Valley. F-Unique, G is the original L version, its a he of all P, is WT Steel our unspecified currency version Y. Currently, in Danding City, the Medicine Valley's disciples were patrolling everywhere. The Golden Flame sect's disciples were much more obedient. After walking around, the two returned to the Longquan courtyard. In the Longquan courtyard, Night Sorrow saw Mo Chen and Chu Lingfei. 11th senior brother, Sister Lingfei, you're here. Night Sorrow greeted the two when he saw them. 13. I heard about what happened. If you meet anyone who messes with you in the future, kill them, Mo Chen said with a cold face. Mo Chen said coldly. A few days ago, he had gone to the Chu clan with Chu Lingfei, so when he found out that Zhang Peng had followed Yi Shan out of the city to attack him, he was furious. Senior brother, don't be angry. It's not that serious. I cut off that kid's hand and didn't continue. I wanted to kill him. Night Sorrow said with a smile. After chatting with the others in the courtyard for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the second floor of the courtyard. He ate a soul-gathering pill and a leopard embryo muscle-strengthening pill and began to cultivate. During this cultivation, Yishang found that the top-grade soul-gathering pill was easier to absorb and convert than half a spirit congealing pill. His refining speed had increased a lot, which was equivalent to increasing his cultivation speed. The efficiency was different. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow woke up early. After a night of testing, he found that using the soul-gathering pill was faster, but refining the spirit concentration pill had some drawbacks. After stretching his muscles and bones, Night Sorrow began to practice his spear arts and footwork in the practice field. These two were currently his main fighting methods. As for the Zhen Yu hand, Night Sorrow only used it at critical times. It consumed too much energy. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the others were chatting and watching Night Sorrow cultivate. Yishang only stopped when he was drenched in sweat. Are you going to continue to do missions today? Yang Lei asked after throwing a towel to Night Sorrow. Yes, if it doesn't delay my cultivation, I plan to get a silver token to play with. Night Sorrow said his decision with a smile. There was a reason for Yishang's decision. The attention level of the Empyrean Terminus Tower depended on one's performance in many aspects. Being able to upgrade the Qingtong token to a silver token as soon as possible was also an indication of one's qualifications. It's good that you have this idea, but there are some bronze missions that you can't do. There are many bronze missions that even core condensation cultivators are scared of. You can only start from the low-level bronze missions. You have to take the black iron missions with high points. Emochin said. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. After packing up, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei set off. Night Sorrow still has 2 bronze missions to complete. 2 missions. One is to go to the ice mountain to collect 3 bottles of ice spring water. Night Sorrow has been to the ice mountain before. When he took the Ironback Bear's gallbladder mission, he did it on the ice mountain. However, it was halfway up the mountain. This time, he was going to the top of the mountain. The ice spring water at the top of the ice mountain can't be faked. Only ice jade bottles can hold it. Other containers will instantly freeze and crack. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei rode the Tianyu and the Azure Eagle to the top of the ice mountain. 13. Be careful. You can't fly after 10,000 meters. There are flying monsters above. You can't be discovered. Yang Lei reminded Night Sorrow. Snow eagles are social monsters. If they were discovered, it would be a big problem. Of course, this is under the condition that Yang Lei doesn't make a move. The two have already agreed that if they don't meet people from the Golden Flame sect, Yang Lei won't make a move. She only followed Night Sorrow because the Golden Flame sect wanted to assassinate Night Sorrow. Chapter 150. The cause of the matter was that Chu Ning, Tang Tian, and a few other Tai Xian Peak disciples were eating in a restaurant. Perhaps they were talking too loudly about Yishang's fight for the Yuan role. As a result, the Golden Flame sect disciples at another table were unhappy. They quarreled and ended up fighting. Chu Ning and the others were not even in the 3rd level of Gathering Element, so they were no match for the Golden Flame sect disciples who came out to train. As a result, they were beaten black and blue. They were discovered by the Medicine Valley's patrol team and started fighting. In the end, the Medicine Valley disciples were at a disadvantage. The leader of the Golden Flame sect disciples was a middle-aged man with a high cultivation level. As the fight escalated, Gong Xian and Yi Shui's patrol team arrived. Seeing this, Gong Xian immediately took action. He beat up the leader of the Golden Fire sect along with a few other disciples, and even made them apologize. Such an incident naturally alarmed Zhang Qinghe of the Golden Flame Pavilion. Zhang Qinghe came and refused to apologize. He wanted to take them away. Gong Xian naturally disagreed. Chu Ning and Tang Tian were both his disciples. They were beaten up by Su Mu some time ago. Su Mu was from the Medicine Valley, so he couldn't react too violently. Now that they were from the Golden Flame sect, of course he wouldn't tolerate it. Yu Yongyu and the other Peak Masters had made a decision. The Golden Flame sect couldn't do anything extreme in the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley recognized the Golden Flame sect's status, and also acknowledged the Medicine Valley as its subordinate force. However, it only handed over resources. The Golden Flame sect couldn't reach into the Medicine Valley. That way, the Medicine Valley would slowly be nibbled away and eventually lose its place of survival. Gong Xian, it's not good for you to do this. Do you really want to escalate the conflict? Zhang Qinghe said with a cold face. Escalate the conflict? That's your fault. You came to slap us in the face, and then we retaliated and escalated the conflict? Are you going to apologize or not? If not, I'll let your enforcers take your corpses back. Gong Xian's long sword fell on the neck of the Golden Flame sect's leader. I apologize. This middle-aged disciple of the Golden Flame sect was a level 4 spirit-severing stage cultivator, but in the face of death, he chose to compromise. There was nothing he could do about it. If he did not apologize, Gong Xian would kill him. The Golden Flame sect would avenge him after his death. Between losing his life and compromising, he could only choose to compromise. Get lost! Gong Xian kicked the man in front of Zhang Qinghe. Gong Xian, have you thought of the consequences of doing this? Zhang Qinghe's face was ashen. Today, the Golden Flame sect had lost face. The area that our Medicine Valley relies on for survival has been invaded. What consequences are there to consider? Instead of being slowly nibbled away, we'll just fight to the death. We disciples of the Medicine Valley have the courage to do so. If you don't believe me, you can let the disciples of the Golden Flame sect continue to provoke us. Gong Xian snorted coldly and left with the enforcement team, Chu Ning and the other disciples of the Tai Xian Peak. Zhang Qinghe was so angry that he stomped his feet. He went over and slapped the injured disciples of the Golden Flame sect. Then he turned and left. He had to report this matter. The situation was very difficult to deal with. The original plan was to slowly encroach on the Medicine Valley's ruling power in Danding City. However, the Medicine Valley was like an enraged lion. As long as there was a threat in their territory, they would attack without hesitation. As for the determination of the Medicine Valley, Zhang Qinghe did not doubt it. If the Medicine Valley did not have the determination to fight to the death, they would not be so domineering. After returning to the Golden Flame Pavilion, Zhang Qinghe went to report to Elder Qi. Night Sorrow sat on Tianyu and flew to a height of nearly 10,000 meters before stopping. He put Tianyu back into the beast taming space and slowly moved forward with the reincarnation spear. The difficulty of this mission lay in how to avoid the demonic beasts. After all, demonic beasts ran rampant on this ice mountain. The probability of being discovered was very high. Yang Lei put away the green condor and followed behind Night Sorrow. She would not help Night Sorrow with the mission, but she would also not hinder Night Sorrow. She followed closely behind Night Sorrow. The appearance of demonic beasts was also because of Night Sorrow. It was also a training that should be part of the mission. Night Sorrow moved forward very quickly. From time to time, he would look at the demonic beast's footprints on the ground. Based on the demonic beast's footprints, he could distinguish the information of the nearby demonic beasts. Halfway up the ice mountain, the ground was covered with snow that had been frozen hard by the cold air. It was not easy to leave a mark on it. Halfway up the mountain, it was even more ridiculous. Snowflakes were constantly falling. However, it was precisely because of the snowflakes that Night Sorrow could better detect the information of the demonic beasts. As they moved forward, Yang Lei nodded. Night Sorrow's ability to avoid danger was too strong. He had already avoided many demonic beasts. Yang Lei's detection area was very large. She could detect places that Night Sorrow could not. This was because she could sense the energy in the demonic beasts' bodies. The energy fluctuations could not be hidden from her. However, Night Sorrow could not. His cultivation had not reached that level. He avoided the demonic beasts by relying on his sight, smell, and instinct for danger. They reached the top of the ice mountain without any danger. The area of a normal mountain peak might not be large. However, the area of the ice mountain peak was large. It was a small snowfield. According to the mission records, the ice spring at the top of the mountain existed in the middle of the snowfield. The symbol was a 10,000-year-old ancient birch tree. The ice spring was right next to the ancient birch tree. Senior sister, Do you think that Tianji Tower understood the mission so clearly and directly completed it? Why did they have to go through so much trouble? Knight Sorrow whispered. They did not come to investigate. They came to this conclusion based on some ancient books, the situation of the last mission, and the rumors among the cultivators. Tianji Tower is the most well-informed. Therefore they were able to investigate all of this. Yonglei opened her mouth and said, "Long time no see." T-free /% look at the small tick. Say it. I understand, Knight Sorrow replied as he carefully moved forward in stealth. He not only had to be careful of the demonic beasts on the ground, but also the ones in the air. Just now, Knight Sorrow was alert. When a few snow eagles flew past, he hid under the branches of an ancient pine tree. That was why he was not discovered. As for Yonglei, she was some distance away from Knight Sorrow and had hidden early. In order to resist the bone-chilling cold of the ice-snow mountain, Knight Sorrow could only circulate the energy of the myriad Tao Tome in his body. This way, he would not be frozen stiff. Only when one cultivated to the spirit-severing stage would they be able to produce protective chi. Knight Sorrow did not have this ability. From time to time there would be vibrations on the ground. Those were the sounds of demonic beasts running and hunting. There were also snow eagles whistling in the air from time to time. These were all fatal threats. He did not dare to move forward quickly. After more than 4 hours, Knight Sorrow finally saw the ancient birch tree marked in the mission. Although he saw the ancient birch tree, Knight Sorrow did not dare to go over. This was because more than a dozen snow eagles were fighting fiercely with a snow fox with silver-white fur. Knight Sorrow crouched behind a cedar tree and observed. 13. You may have profited this time. Yonglei, who was leaning against Knight Sorrow, said, "Senior sister, what do you mean?" Knight Sorrow lowered his voice and asked. Chapter 151. I don't know. Knight Sorrow really didn't know much about Silver Fox. Silver Fox's blood is an important supplementary ingredient in the Tier 5 Clear Void pill. It is much more precious than the main ingredient. It is said that Silver Fox has the bloodline of the ancient mutated beast, Nine-Tailed Fox, Yonglei whispered. I see. I have seen the ancient mutated beast, Nine-Tailed Fox. I didn't expect Silver Fox to be a descendant of the ancient Nine-Tailed Fox, Knight Sorrow said in surprise. That's what they say, but I've never heard of a Silver Fox's bloodline awakening. If the bloodline awakened, the Silver Fox wouldn't just have 1 tail, but 4. At most, one of them would be a little smaller, Yonglei explained to Yishan. Following Yonglei's explanation, Knight Sorrow also found out that Silver Fox's cultivation was at the early stage of Tier 4. The snow eagles in the sky were all Tier 3. Most of them were at the middle stage of Tier 3, and 2 were at the late stage of Tier 3. This was a snow eagle family, and the 2 with the highest cultivation were the elders of the family. The battle was very intense. Silver Fox's cultivation was high, but the snow eagles had the advantage of flying and numbers. Slowly, Silver Fox was unable to hold on. Its body was covered in the snow eagle's claw marks. However, the snow eagles had also suffered heavy losses. A few of them had been torn apart by Silver Fox, and all of them were injured. The battle was very fierce. If it continued, both sides would suffer heavy losses or even perish together. Looking at the situation, Silver Fox originally occupied the ice spring surroundings. After giving birth, its body became weak, and the snow eagles came to snatch the territory. Yonglei gave her analysis. Knight Sorrow nodded, feeling that it made sense. The battle was very fierce, but Knight Sorrow could only watch. No matter which side it was, he couldn't resist, even if he was heavily injured. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Late stage of Tier 3 and early stage of Tier 4 could easily take Knight Sorrow's life. The battle was still going on. Both sides were making their last stand. Silver Fox was determined not to retreat, and so was Snow Eagle. At this point in the battle, if they could not take down the Ice Spring stronghold, then they would have lost so many family members for nothing. An hour later, the battle was over. Both Silver Fox and Snow Eagle were lying on the snow. Some of them were still breathing, but that was the last moment of their lives. Knight Sorrow and Yonglei walked out. Knight Sorrow first walked to the Silver Fox cub, looked at it, gave it a piece of jerky, and then went to the ice spring. This was an ice spring formed from tens of millions of years of accumulated snow. The benefits of cultivating beside the ice spring were great. However, this place was not suitable for humans. Night Sorrow took out a jade bottle and filled it with water. Other than what was needed for the mission, he also made some for himself. The ice spring water was not useful for cultivation, but it could be used for alchemy and refining equipment. After keeping the ice spring water, Night Sorrow glanced at the corpses of Silver Fox and Snow Eagle. He took out the reincarnation spear and started working. He dug out the crystal cores from the Snow Eagle's body. He even put the most ferocious Snow Eagle's corpse into his storage ring, saving it to feed Tianyu. Yang Lei collected the Silver Fox's blood and began to skin the Silver Fox. However, the Silver Fox cub continued to cause trouble. Night Sorrow stopped eating the jerky that he gave it and kept attacking Yang Lei. Although it was still very small, it was very fierce. Initial, send M. It is protecting its mother's corpse. Let's not continue to destroy it. Night Sorrow went forward and stopped Yang Lei. At the same time, he bent down and looked at the Silver Fox cub. Hurry up and leave. This is not a safe place. Night Sorrow reached out and stroked the Silver Fox cub. Strangely, the Silver Fox cub, which was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws at Yang Lei, calmed down when it saw Night Sorrow. It then crawled to the Silver Fox's corpse and squatted down. Yang Lei passed the Silver Fox's blood to Night Sorrow and then looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "Don't you plan to take this little guy with you?" In the eyes of cultivators, the value of a demonic beast cub with such potential was very high. Ninth Senior Sister. It is very pitiful. Let it go. Night Sorrow took out another piece of jerky and threw it in front of the Silver Fox cub. All right. I am just here to accompany you on the mission. I don't care if the people of Golden Flame Sect attack you. You can decide for yourself. Yang Lei nodded. Night Sorrow waved his hand at the Silver Fox cub and left with Yang Lei. He knew that the Silver Fox cub was very valuable, but he saw himself in the Silver Fox cub. When he saw himself being protected by his guards, he was full of sympathy. After Night Sorrow and Yang Lei left, the Silver Fox cub moved and followed beside Night Sorrow. It followed every step that Night Sorrow took. Ninth Senior Sister? Night Sorrow looked at Yang Lei in surprise. Demonic beasts with high bloodline are born with sensitive senses. It knows that you are not hostile to it. You may be the first creature it has seen that is not hostile to it except for its mother, so it feels close to you. I just touched its mother's body, so it hates me. Yang Lei said. She seemed to understand what the older generation often said. Everything was destined. Night Sorrow did not force the Silver Fox cub to take it with him, but the Silver Fox cub liked to follow Night Sorrow. This was destined. Night Sorrow bent down and picked up the Silver Fox cub, then take it back and raise it in the Dragon Spring courtyard. Well, you can decide. But since we are taking it with us, then we should be benevolent and bury its mother. Yang Lei sighed and went back to take action. Seeing Yang Lei touch the Silver Fox's body, the Silver Fox cub was angry again. It jumped down from Night Sorrow's body and attacked Yang Lei's calf. Little guy, let me tell you. If you don't deal with it, other demonic beasts will eat it, so you have to bury it. There is no malice. Night Sorrow stopped the Silver Fox cub and told Yang Lei to make a snow pit first and then bury it directly. Otherwise, the little guy would be tormented. I am really convinced. Yang Lei was helpless and could only do it according to Night Sorrow's method. Night Sorrow's method was indeed effective. The Silver Fox cub looked at the Silver Fox's body being buried, and its eyes were full of confusion. After tidying up, Night Sorrow carried the Silver Fox cub and went down the mountain. Yang Lei followed behind. Yang Lei was still a little stunned. Night Sorrow just did a mission to get the ice spring water and he could make so many things happen and get so many benefits. Last time, when he eliminated the mountain bandits, he brought back a few smart maids and also got a treasure map. Was this the luck of an ordinary person? She now understood. Yu talked about luck that day. How could Night Sorrow explain this? Luck, to put it bluntly, wasn't luck the embodiment of luck? After more than 2 hours, Night Sorrow took the Silver Fox cub and Yang Lei to the bottom of the mountain. Catch some prey. Tonight we will go down the mountain and camp. Night Sorrow made a decision. Chapter 152. What? Night Sorrow was stunned. He slipped and fell to the ground. The silver fox cub was also thrown to the side. It bumped into Yang Lei's body and its claws landed on Yang Lei's chest. Ah! Yang Lei screamed. Her body went limp and she fell to the ground. Yishan followed closely and laid on top of her. She fell to the ground and the two of them looked at each other. Then, Yishan hurriedly got up and pressed his hands on Yang Lei's chest. Night Sorrow's face was red after he got up. He was extremely embarrassed. You bastard! How dare you take advantage of your senior sister? Aoi, who was wearing a long robe and a blue veil, blushed. She looked extremely charming in the wind and snow. Ninth senior sister, I didn't mean it. Night Sorrow quickly apologized. He didn't know how to explain it. Okay, I scared you. Let's go and hunt. I'm hungry. Yang Lei changed the topic. She glared at Night Sorrow when she saw that Night Sorrow was still in a daze. I'll go. Let's go now. We'll fly down with Tianyu and the green condor. We'll look for suitable prey. Night Sorrow released Tianyu and carried the silver fox cub on Tianyu's back. Yang Lei smiled when she saw how anxious Night Sorrow was. She understood everything. She was joking at the beginning. She scared Night Sorrow, which led to the series of events. After reaching Tier 3, Sky Feather had become much stronger. When she discovered a lone snow bear, she led Night Sorrow to circle in the air and attack. Very quickly, they killed the snow bear that had just reached Tier 3. Tianyu grabbed the snow bear's body with his claws and flew down the snow mountain. Tianyu's body was already very big. Even if he was carrying Night Sorrow on his back, it wouldn't be a problem for him to carry a 500-pound snow bear. After descending from the ice snow mountain and finding a place with a good environment, Night Sorrow let Tianyu land. He then started a fire and started to clean up the snow bear. Yang Lei also came over to help. Ninth senior sister, you rest. I can do it myself. Night Sorrow's heart had not calmed down yet. 13. I'm not blaming you. What's wrong with that? I was just joking with you. You didn't mean it. Yang Lei smiled as she looked at the nervous Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, I've really let you down. Night Sorrow apologized. Then you should be obedient in the future. Don't make ninth senior sister angry. Yang Lei said with a smile. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded and roasted the snow bear. He then went to play with the silver fox cub. He knew that Yang Lei was really not angry, so he felt a lot more at ease. After roasting the snow bear, Night Sorrow cut a piece for Yang Lei and a piece for the silver fox cub. He kept a little for himself and the rest for Tianyu. After eating, Night Sorrow let Tianyu rest. He then took out a piece of bear skin and handed it to Yang Lei. Senior sister, it's cold at night. You can rest on it. It's warmer. What about you? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I'm a man. This cold is nothing. Night Sorrow said with a smile. No need. Senior sister has vital energy to protect her body. You should use it. Yang Lei shook her head. Senior sister, listen to me. Night Sorrow finished and left. He went to the other side and sat on the ground and began to cultivate. Seeing Yi Shang's insistence, Yang Lei didn't say anything else. After spreading out the animal skin, she discovered that it was very big. After thinking for a moment, she called out to Yi Shang, 13th junior brother, this animal skin is so big. It won't be a problem for two people to sit on it. No, I'm fine like this. Night Sorrow shook his head. I called you over? You just said that you would listen to me in the future. Now you're like this? Yang Lei was a little angry. How could she watch Night Sorrow sit on the grass and cultivate? Not to mention the animal skin was really big. Seeing Yang Lei unhappy, Night Sorrow came over and sat in the corner of the animal skin. After sitting down, Night Sorrow took out the best quality soul gathering pill and leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill. He ate them and began to cultivate. The silver fox cub lay beside him, looking around with its dark eyes. See +0, edition and chapter 69. Super WL. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow found that his myriad Tao Tome had reached a bottleneck. He had reached the peak of level 2 muscle strengthening realm. The energy in his body was saturated. If he did not level up, then he could not continue to improve. After opening his eyes, Night Sorrow saw that Yang Lei was already preparing food. She had woken up much earlier than him. Ninth senior sister. You woke up so early? Night Sorrow greeted. Seeing that you were cultivating, I sent the cyan condor out to catch some prey. However, your Tianyu is quite good. It went out to catch a snow python and a pheasant, Yang Lei said as she processed the food. I don't know why, but Tianyu is interested in snake and python food. But I like to eat pheasant, so he is used to catching prey. Night Sorrow said. It is the nature of the Pang to like python food. Tianyu's fur is similar to the Xuanluan, but his appearance is similar to the green eagle. So it is normal that he likes to eat python food. But he knows how to help you catch birds and game. This is an outstanding display of intelligence. My green eagle does not have this ability. Yang Lei looked at Tianyu and said. After chatting with Yang Lei for a while, Night Sorrow went to wash up. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow felt refreshed. But yesterday's incident still made him embarrassed to face Yang Lei. In fact, he could not face himself. When he saw Yang Lei, he could think of yesterday's scene. The warm feeling on his hand was still in his heart. After eating, Night Sorrow decided to do the second mission. This mission was an investigation mission. Someone in Yundong town had mysteriously disappeared. It needed to be investigated. Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and Yang Lei rode the Green Eagle. It took them a day to reach Yundong town. After entering the town, Yishang discovered that something was amiss. It was deathly silent, and there were barely any pedestrians on the main street. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei wanted to ask, but they could not find anyone. The town closed the door when they saw a stranger. How can this be? Night Sorrow frowned. He did not understand. It's simple. They have people missing here and don't know the reason, so they are afraid. It is hopeless to ask them. Let's go to the mayor and see if anything special has happened recently, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. The mayor lived in a dilapidated house on the east side of the town. Night Sorrow took out his Medicine Valley Disciple token and the bronze token of Tianji Tower. Only then did the mayor feel relieved. Then, Night Sorrow asked questions. The mayor did not know anything. He only said that 2 women came to the town a month ago. After the 2 women left, people began to disappear. After asking more questions, Night Sorrow came to the conclusion that the missing people in the town were all young men and some teenagers. Chapter 153. There are, but they are all cultivation techniques that cultivators despise. If they are discovered, they will be killed immediately, Yang Lei said after pondering for a moment. There really are? I thought Old Man Gu was telling me a story, so I asked casually. If there really is such a cultivation technique, the missing man might have been captured to cultivate it, Night Sorrow said. Didn't I tell you that this is a cultivation technique that no cultivator would touch? If they are discovered, they will be killed immediately. Didn't you hear me? Yang Lei reached out to pat Night Sorrow's head. This was her personality and habit, and it was also something that Night Sorrow couldn't figure out. Yang Lei's figure was tall and slender, and her figure was exquisite. Her appearance was also the type that men would be attracted to, or even want to protect. However, under this appearance, there was a straightforward and violent personality in her delicate body. Ninth senior sister, don't hit me. There's a problem. Night Sorrow reached out to block Yang Lei's hand. Io, little 13, you dare to resist now? If you can't explain it clearly, do you want me to slap you? Yang Lei retracted her hand and glared at Night Sorrow. Senior sister, the premise of being killed is to be discovered. What about not being discovered? There are many people who take risks out of desperation. With enough benefits, people will do anything no matter how dangerous it is. Night Sorrow shared his opinion. That's true. If you're discovered, you'll be killed. But if you're not discovered, you can increase your strength. Even if you go to a remote place, you'll still be a mountain king. Hearing Yishang's words, Yang Lei felt that Yishang's words made sense. Therefore, we will scout the surroundings of the town and see if there are any clues. Then we will hide at night. Among the missing people, there are those who go missing in the wilderness. Aren't there also those who mysteriously disappear at night? Night Sorrow explained the direction of his investigation. Yang Lei didn't have any opinions about Night Sorrow's analysis and decision. She felt that although Night Sorrow was young, his meticulous thinking was incomparable to that of an adult. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei carefully scouted the surroundings of the town. The green eagle and Tianyu had already been put away. The silver fox cub lay on Night Sorrow's shoulder, its 4 little claws tightly grasping Night Sorrow's shoulder. Night Sorrow's actions didn't affect its comfort at all. Since he didn't find anything in the town's surroundings, Night Sorrow decided to expand his search area. He had more or less figured out the town's surrounding terrain. Senior sister, I think the problem should be in the mountains in the east and north. The south and west are not suitable for hiding. Yi Shang asked for Yang Lei's opinion. Let's go north first. I feel that if we want to hide, the possibility of hiding in the north is higher. Yang Lei nodded. The two of them searched towards the north of the town. After searching for nearly 20 miles, they still didn't find any clues. 13. Why don't we change our direction? Yang Lei asked. No. Even if there is a problem, the person wouldn't hide so close. Don't expect to find too many clues within 30 miles. Since we are searching this area, we should do it all at once. Otherwise, if we don't find anything in the east, we will have to do it again. Night Sorrow didn't agree with Yang Lei's opinion. All right. Actually, I am afraid that you will be anxious. It seems that you are quite patient. Yang Lei nodded at Night Sorrow. They continued to search. After searching for 4 hours, they had already traveled 15 kilometers. After nearly 40 kilometers, Night Sorrow stopped because he had made a discovery. His discovery was that there were footprints by the stream. Although they were shallow, Yi Shang still saw them. Just as Yang Lei was about to speak, Night Sorrow gestured for her to be quiet. Then, he came to Yang Lei's side. Ninth senior sister. Look at the footprints. They are so small. It doesn't belong to a man. It seems that we were right. Along the way, Night Sorrow focused on the leeward areas that had water and were suitable for shelter. You are quite capable. I didn't notice the footprints just now. What do you plan to do next? Yang Lei was a little embarrassed. In this aspect, she was not as good as Night Sorrow. If people want to survive, they can't live without water. Let's not search anymore. It will be easy to miss the opportunity. If we miss the opportunity to appear, we will wait here. Once we find out, we will directly eliminate them, Night Sorrow said. I say, 13. Do you know what your mission is? You are here to investigate. Whether or not you eliminate them is not your mission, Yang Lei said as she hugged Night Sorrow's shoulder. No, I can't watch innocent villagers continue to be persecuted. Night Sorrow shook his head. I really have to hand it to you. How are we going to wait here now? Yang Lei did not continue to persuade Night Sorrow. She knew that the local customs here were similar to Bamboo Garden Village. Night Sorrow was familiar with it. That ancient willow. Let's go up there. That way, the field of vision will be wider and it won't be easy to be discovered, Night Sorrow said as he pointed at an ancient willow not far away. Yang Lei nodded and looked at Night Sorrow. After hesitating for a moment, she reached out and hugged Night Sorrow's waist. With a stomp of her feet, she jumped into the air and directly landed on the ancient willow. Ninth senior sister, I can actually climb up by myself, Night Sorrow said with some embarrassment. So you're saying that ninth senior sister's actions are unnecessary? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow with an unhappy expression. No, senior sister. You stay on top. I'll just watch from below. The two of them squeezed together. Night Sorrow was a little nervous. Update S new fastest D on LNZ. Didn't you see that I changed my dress today? Yang Lei reached out and knocked on Night Sorrow's head. I can't stand on senior sister's head, right? Ninth senior sister. Go up. I won't raise my head. Night Sorrow didn't know how to explain himself, so he could only make a promise. Yang Lei ignored Night Sorrow and moved to the side. Then, she sat on a tree branch. She was here to accompany Night Sorrow. As for the mission, it was Night Sorrow's matter. Night Sorrow carried the silver fox cub down from his shoulder and placed it on the tree branch. Then, he looked around himself. Time slipped away bit by bit. When it was close to evening, 2 women appeared. Both of them were coquettish women wearing red dresses. Their clothes were particularly revealing, and only covered their vital parts. When they arrived at the stream, the 2 of them directly went into the water to wash. Then, they took out buckets from their storage belts to draw water. After they were done, they kept the buckets in their storage belts. After collecting the water, the 2 of them grabbed each other a few times and made some unbearable sounds. Looking at the 2 women leaving, Night Sorrow floated down the tree. When Night Sorrow moved, the silver fox cub called out and went down the tree at the same time. Night Sorrow bent down and picked up the silver fox cub. He reached out and knocked on its head. Then, he quickly chased in the direction of the 2 women. He didn't want to lose them. If that happened, it would be troublesome to keep watch. The 2 women wearing revealing clothes didn't notice that Night Sorrow was following them. They walked for 4 to 5 miles and entered a small valley. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.